Chapter 26. Chapter 26. Action. Itachi informed Danzo that Funon would enter the Death Forest the next day. He indeed disappeared from surveillance the next day. However, he did not enter the Death Forest. It wasn't until the third night that Funon quietly entered the forest. Danzo was shocked when he heard the news, and immediately ordered his men to prepare, enter the Death Forest, and surround and kill Uchiha Funon. Could it be a trap? The subordinates were hesitant. This is not consistent with Uchiha Itachi's information. Incorrect, Danzo said with a cold smile. It is precisely because of the inconsistency that I confirmed the authenticity of this information. Uchiha Funon did not trust Uchiha Itachi, and everything was as he said. Proves Uchiha Itachi is not trustworthy. Understood. The ninjas at the root have been brainwashed for a long time. After hearing this, they stopped talking and started to prepare immediately. That night, Funon wandered back and forth in the Death Forest without any purpose. But Root's ninjas latched onto him and chased him deep into the Death Forest. TSK, TSK, TSK. Get out of there. Funon looked around and said helplessly, sometimes Danzo is really admirable. The user of nanometer-level insects in the Abaram clan is something very valuable, unique even within his clan. However, he possesses it. Right, Shikuro of the Abaram clan? A young ninja wearing sunglasses slowly walked out. Do you know me? His voice showed surprise. Once you join Root, you must abandon all of your previous identity. In the original clan, not only will it be judged dead, but all data will be erased. What's more, the identities of Anbu are top secret, and the Roots are even more secretive than Anbu. Except for Danzo, no other person will know their identity. Funon is an Uchiha. How could he know about the Roots? A traitor? Shikuro felt alarmed. There is a very high-ranking traitor at the Root. It's because of you that Danzo can grasp my whereabouts, right? Funon smiled slightly. Swish. Funon's face moved slightly, his figure flashed, his body flicker technique was activated, and he disappeared from the spot. In the dead of night, shadows crept closer to Funon, like a snake stalking its prey. In the end, the prey escaped, leaving only a detonating talisman in place. Boom! There was a muffled roar in the explosion, and the battle officially started. The Nara clan is very good at sneak attacks in the dark. Unfortunately, it's of no use against me. Funon appeared on a big tree and looked down coldly. What about me? A deep voice sounded. Partial multi-size technique. A huge palm slapped Funon fiercely. Huh? Funon was surprised, as the Akimiki clan also joined Root. Akimiki Torafu is not dead yet. How could he agree? Fire release. Great fireball technique. The bright red bloody flames rushed towards the giant arm. Boom! The flame was scratched to pieces, and the owner of the huge arm also let out a muffled groan and quickly retracted his arm. Buzz! Countless insects flew toward Funon in an overwhelming manner. Parasitic destruction insect technique. The insects surrounded Funon in the blink of an eye, and began to bite his flesh and blood, devouring his chakra. Succeeded? Several Root ninjas looked happy. No, that's not him. However, Abaram Shikuro received the message from the insects and exclaimed, "Be careful!" Boom! Funon, who was being consumed by the insects, turned into a cloud of smoke. A clone? Is it useful to be careful? A low voice sounded behind a Root ninja, and then, the ninja was surrounded by bloody flames. The ninja let out a shrill scream, fell to the ground, and struggled wildly until it turned into ashes. What I hate the most are ninjas with secret techniques, like this ninja from the Yamanaka clan. Funon looked at the dead ninja in his hands coldly, looked up at the people surrounding him, and smiled. Do you want to dance? The Rout ninjas looked at him coldly. Countless bugs appeared on Abaram Shikuro's hands. The bodies of the ninjas of the Akimiki clan began to swell. The shadows of the Nara clan began to change. Shadow clone technique. Funon created 4 replicas, each pointing in a different direction. Come, let's dance. Funon's eyes were as bright as the stars in the dark night. Fire release. Great fire annihilation. 4 bloody flame pillars spurted out in all directions. The surrounding area was instantly surrounded by flames, and wherever the flames passed everything turned into ashes. A broken bar. Swish. In the Hokage's office, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was preparing to go home from get-off work, frowned when he looked at the Anbu that suddenly appeared in front of him. There's been a problem. Too many things have happened in the past 2 days, and he has become impatient. Hokage-sama, there is a battle in the Death Forest, suspected to be Bloody Flame Funen. The bloody flames were so eye-catching that they couldn't be covered up at all. The extreme temperature could be clearly felt from a distance by the sensor-type ninjas. Uchiha Funen. The Hokage's heart skipped a beat, and he immediately thought of Danzo. He put his hands behind his back and walked back and forth in place. Finally, he made up his mind. Call the Anbu and let's go. Where to go? A low and cold voice sounded. Danzo appeared in the Hokage's office, staring coldly at the third Hokage. Danzo. Hiruzen said coldly, what did you do? Clean up the cancer in Konoha. Danzo said indifferently, Uchiha Funen is too dangerous. As long as he is still alive, Konoha may be enveloped in the flames of war at any time. Is this what you want to see? I think you want to start a war between the village and Uchiha. The third Hokage's voice was stern. Uchiha Funen is now the spokesperson of the Uchiha clan. He is also the chief of the Konoha military police force and has an important position in Konoha. If something happens to him, even for the sake of face, the Uchiha clan will never give up. What's more, Uchiha Funen has many followers. He. Danzo sneered secretly in his heart. He had already made his position clear last time. Didn't the third Hokage know? Now he is assuming such a posture again. Hypocrisy. Danzo felt sick. If he wants to rescue Funen, how can he stop him by force if he is alone? In the end, Hiruzen still hasn't made up his mind and at the same time wants him to take the blame. Okay, if that's what you want, I'll take it on. Danzo's eyes were cold and disdainful. He is destined to become the Hokage. What kind of things can be difficult for him? The two faced each other coldly. Knock, knock, knock. Someone knocked on the door. Then Koharu and Homura entered. Hiruzen, this time, we stand with Danzo. Yes, Uchiha Funen is too dangerous. Not only Uchiha Funen, but all Uchiha are evil. Koharu said maliciously. Hiruzen, have you forgotten what the teacher said? Uchiha are inherently evil. I will post some extra chapters in Patreon, you can check it out. Patreon.com/TitoVilla. Comment to comment. Vote to left. Chapter 27. Chapter 27. The same situation enough. The third Hokage shouted loudly and said coldly, I have said that the Uchiha are also members of the village. As long as they do not betray the village will not betray them. Swish. After saying that, the third Hokage disappeared from the office. Outside, more than a dozen Anbu were ready. The third Hokage appeared in front of them and then said, let's go. Yes. Everyone used the body flicker technique to leave the place. Hiruzen, he is too stubborn. Homura looked angry. Funen is a Uchiha, an Uchiha. Don't worry, Homura. However, Koharu was not worried at all and said indifferently, it will take a long time to go to the Death Forest from here. With this time, Danzo's men will be enough to take care of everything, right, Danzo? At Koharu's gaze, Danzo coldly snorted without saying a word, turning around to leave. How smart. Could it be that what you can think of cannot be thought of by Hiruzen? If Uchiha doesn't betray the village, then the village won't betray Uchiha. According to that argument, what does this action by Danzo mean? Wouldn't he become a rogue ninja of the village? Is Hiruzen prepared to sacrifice Danzo for a Uchiha? Unless he is crazy. You can't understand such a trivial matter, and you're still just pretending. Therefore, Hiruzen is the Hokage, and the two of you can only become elders under his appointment, and your destiny is in Hiruzen's hands. If he is unhappy, you will lose everything. I am different. I have already freed myself from Hiruzen and I have my own power. Even if I lose the battle with the Uchiha, Hiruzen will try his best to protect me. Hiruzen and I, neither of us can lose the other. Danzo's footsteps paused slightly. Why am I thinking about failing in the fight against the Uchiha? It can't possibly fail. Lose against the Uchiha. Chuk chuk chuk. The sound of the cane hitting the ground became disordered, losing the stable rhythm it had before. A broken bar. Strange flames burned in the forest of death. The Sensi-type ninjas were the first to discover this and reported it to the Hokage. Other ninjas also gradually discovered it, especially the Uchiha. They were completely shaken. Bloody Flame? It's Funan. Their deputy leader, the chief of the police force, is fighting. Without the need for a summons, the Uchiha were gathering, emanating a murderous aura. Whether it's a hawk, a dove, or the Patriarch's faction, people must gather together first. Funan is now the face of Uchiha to the outside world. He was attacked, which is provoking the entire Uchiha. After Funan's work these days, Uchiha, who was originally stubborn, became full of energy. Fugaku frowned and looked at the gathered Uchiha. He knew Funan's popularity among Uchiha, but now Uchiha was like a dynamite barrel that could explode at the drop of a hat. This is definitely not a good thing. Clan leader. When an Uchiha saw Fugaku, he immediately shouted. Then all the Uchiha turned to look at him. Obviously, they were waiting for Fugaku to issue an order. At this time, it is most appropriate for the clan leader to lead them. Funan was attacked. The Uchiha, under the leadership of the clan leader, let's make a big fuss. Fugaku gave a bitter smile and said, so many people? What do you think? Tetsui and Komi, Yashiro and Kuroko, you come with me, and the others will disperse on the spot. There are so many elite Uchiha, and the 4 people Fugaku named are all elite jonin. Fugaku is a powerful cage-level ninja. Unless Konoha is really ready to attack Uchiha, there is really nothing they can't solve. Swish. An Anbu appeared and said to Fugaku, clan leader Fugaku, Danzo-sama ordered Uchiha not to leave the clan territory. These words made Fugaku's face darken. The Uchiha became even more agitated. Danzo? Fugaku said indifferently. Who is he? He dares to order me? Danzo is the Hokage's assistant and has a very high status. But Uchiha is the strongest family in Konoha, and Uchiha Fugaku is the previous chief of police force and the leader of the Uchiha clan, with enormous rights granted personally by the second Hokage, which meant that the Hokage's assistants did not have the authority to give him orders. The Anbu ninja said in a steady voice. Danzo-sama said, if leader Fugaku insists on having his own way, you will be responsible for the consequences. One figure after another appeared, staring at Uchiha. The opponent's momentum is astonishing, and a battle may break out at any time. A fire was lit within Fugaku's heart. This scene is so similar. The attack of the Kyuubi, that night that changed the Uchiha clan. The same thing is repeated now. While a fierce battle was raging elsewhere, they were being cornered by Danzo. They were not allowed to take a step away from their clan, and they were just standing there as spectators. Afterwards, it was proved that Fugaku's choice was wrong. On the night of the Nine Tails, the 4th Hokage, who was preparing to ease the relationship between Uchiha and the village, died in battle, and the responsibility was pushed to Uchiha. The orders of the 3rd generation were never mentioned again. Uchiha was forced to move his clan and lost a lot of resources. The clan members were outraged, their morale dropped to the extreme, and they were filled with anger and resentment towards him. This time, wasn't the reason why Funan came to power so easily because of what happened that night? Now, we are here again. Moreover, Funan is probably besieged by Danzo. This is simply, it's too daring. You besieged our deputy leader and asked us to stand aside and watch. What do you think Uchiha is? Does he really think he can do whatever he wants with the Uchiha clan? He remembered how Funan had curiously asked him once. The Hokage back then was obviously the 4th Hokage. So why did he obey the orders of the 3rd Hokage? Could it be that the clan leader had a conflict with the 4th Hokage and wanted to support the 3rd Hokage to regain power? These words shattered Fugaku's last persistence. The threat Omo appeared in Fugaku's eyes. His voice was cold and murderous, and he said, really? I really want to know what the consequences will be. Were broken bar. Although wearing a mask, it was obvious that the Anbu was confused. Was he really Uchiha Fugaku? Although he had always been strong, he used to have certain worries, which made him like a tiger tied by a chain. As long as you keep the distance, you can tease him however you want. Now, the tiger chain is untied. Not to mention them, the Uchihas all murmured when they felt the murderous aura in Fugaku. Did the clan leader take the wrong medicine? Why is it so firm today? Could it be that Funan, the deputy clan leader, infected him after he came to power. However, this is a good thing. Immediately, several pairs of red eyes looked at the Anbu with malicious intent. As long as Fugaku gives an order, these Uchiha, who have long wanted to test the strength of the Anbu, will swarm them and tear them apart. A dry cough sounded. Chuk chuk chuk. The sound of crutches hitting the ground was heard. I will post some extra chapters in Patreon, you can check it out. Patreon.com/TitoVilla. Comment for comment. Vote to left. Chapter 28. Chapter 28. Fugaku's change. Uchiha Fugaku looked coldly. From the voice, he knew who arrived. It's Danzo again. After seeing that figure, Fugaku took the lead and said sarcastically, Assistant Hokage, whose order is it this time? Ordering the Uchiha to stay in their place and not leave. The fourth generation died last time. This time, it couldn't be the third generation, right? TSK, should I call you the fifth Hokage? Danzo stiffened. Caught off guard, the defense was almost broken. The person who said this is Fugaku. He can't make a mistake, right? The person who entered the Forest of Death was Fugaku. The sharp-tongued guy in front of him is Funan using the transformation technique, right? After a brief silence, Danzo said slowly, Uchiha Fugaku, what do you want to do? You are not blind in both eyes, are you? Fugaku said coldly, I am going to support the deputy leader of my clan. Danzo almost choked to death at these words. What does it mean to be blind in both eyes? He is not blind at all. Others also looked at Fugaku in shock. Isn't only the vice leader of the Funan clan supposed to say something so offensive? Opening and closing your mouth is enough to make people angry to death. In the corner, Uchiha Itachi looked at his father strangely. Too strange. If it is said that his father changed because of Funan's appearance and it caused some mood swings, this would be normal, but it is a bit abnormal to have such a big change. Shizui appeared next to him with a strange look on his face. Has the clan leader been stimulated by anything? You should ask Funan Aniki about this. Itachi curled his lips and said, anyway, every time I face him, I am scolded openly and ridiculed secretly. When he stimulates people, he is completely the god of ninjas. Shizui agreed. You are not allowed to leave. Danzo said coldly, Uchiha Fugaku, as long as you dare to leave the Uchiha district even one step. Boom. A ball of flames blasted over, beating the unsuspecting Danzo into a state of disarray. Danzo-sama. The rout ninjas hurriedly stepped forward, surrounded Danzo in the middle, and confronted Uchiha. But, facing the Uchiha in their own territory, his aura was far from dominant. Danzo, you overestimate yourself. Fugaku stared at Danzo coldly and said in a cold voice, last time, Uchiha was controversial because of your order. This time, the deputy leader of our clan is fighting. You actually dare to restrict us? What? Is Konoha going to take action against Uchiha? Then let's have a fight. Fugaku's last sentence was very strong, because many shinobi were already present. Upon hearing this, their faces changed drastically, staring coldly at Danzo. The disgust in their eyes was undisguised. They don't like Uchiha, but to be honest, compared to Danzo, Uchiha are good people. At least the Uchiha wouldn't put their lives in danger. Danzo. The darkness of the shinobi. You may not know which day you will die in his hands. Among them, the Yamanaka clan and the Abaram clan are the most important. They are all secret techniques families, and there are children in the family who were taken away by Danzo for various reasons. The Yamanaka clan was relatively well off, at least Inoshikacho was united, and Danzo did not dare to be too shameless. But the Abaram clan was not so lucky. If it weren't for the emergence of an elite jonin, Abaram Shibi, in the family in recent years, the family would almost be a breeding farm. Now, there is a dispute between Danzo and the Uchiha clan, forcing Uchiha Fugaku to even say such words. Do you really want to start a fight? People who have been frightened by Uchiha recently have cast angry glances. They don't want war at all. To this, Fugaku responded calmly. Anyway, it is impossible for Uchiha to be liked by people in the village. It would be great if they could drag Danzo with them. Uchiha, what are you up to again? An angry scolding sounded. Koharu and Homura were then seen appearing. Koharu looked at Uchiha Fugaku with eyes full of disgust, and said coldly, "Do you really think you can do whatever you want in Konoha? It's you who do whatever you want in Konoha." Fugaku looked at Koharu coldly and said, "Elder Koharu, before you became an elder, Uchiha was just a little-known small clan. What about now?" "Elder Koharu, would you dare to say how many ninjas the Uchiha clan has?" Koharu's expression changed drastically. She never imagined in her wildest dreams that Fugaku, who couldn't do anything for a long time, would say such a thing to her. Homura's complexion also became unnatural. He always had the feeling that the other ninjas were watching them. "Many things are understood but not said. As long as you don't mention them, they can remain friends. If you become an elder and don't seek the welfare of your family, do you still count yourself as an elder? But if that disguise breaks, it will be a great loss." Fugaku looked up at the ninjas present and said coldly, "The deputy leader of our clan is being besieged. Everyone, do you want to stop us?" Uchiha Yashiro said coldly, "The Uchiha fear no enemy. Let's fight. Let's fight. Let's fight." The Uchiha began to scream. Many Uchiha have amazing auras about them. That aura is extremely sharp, like a sharp blade. The expressions of many people present changed drastically. Is this the true strength of the Uchiha clan? The strong killing intent erupted by those Jonin, even the elite Jonin, almost suffocated them. If a fight breaks out, how many people will die? Koharu and Homura were speechless. They looked panicked and at a loss. How could the Uchiha, who used to be obedient, be like this? Where is Hiruzen? Where was he? By the way, Danzo. They still have Danzo. Danzo's face was extremely gloomy, and he really wanted to give the order to attack directly. But he couldn't do it. The ninjas around him would not listen to his orders. All the elite members of the route went to besiege Uchiha Funan, and the third Hokage also took the Anbu there. There were only a few ordinary route members left here, and Danzo looked at the horrified expressions of Koharu and Homura and wanted to kick them to death. "You might as well not come. Shame on you." Nara Shikaku stood up. He had noticed that Danzo didn't dare to attack and that Koharu and the others didn't dare either. But the Uchiha do. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Danzo didn't dare to fight because there was no one around. Koharu and the others didn't dare to fight. Let's not talk about them anymore. But why do Uchiha dare to fight? This is not like Uchiha Fugaku's character. Fugaku-san, calm down, things have not developed to this extent. Fugaku turned his head fiercely, looked at Nara Shikaku, and said coldly, "Jonin Commander, the deputy leader of my clan is fighting. But we are maliciously stopped here. How do you want me to calm down? If it is Konoha's Hokage assistant who is being, people are attacking me, but I can stay calm." Nara Shikaku was speechless. Has Fugaku taken any medicine today? Others also looked at Fugaku in shock. "I'll tell you something," Fugaku said coldly. "Don't cross the line." "Do you really think that Uchiha have no temper? Will they allow themselves to be manipulated?" Humphrey. Uchiha never fear battle, much less total ruin. He led the people and quickly rushed towards the place where the blood flames soared into the sky. This time, no one stopped him. They all feel that if they stop Fugaku at this time, a war will really break out. When the others saw this, they simply followed. Why not follow them? Anyway, they don't want to be with Danzo. Chapter 29, Teasing Shikaku. After Fugaku walked away with the Uchiha clan members, Koharu let out a low growl. Shikaku had a headache, but he still stopped and turned his head. Uchiha is so presumptuous, and as the Jonin commander, you just watch from the sidelines. After hearing Koharu's words, Shikaku was truly speechless. Now I am the Jonin commander, why wasn't I before? There is something good and you four are guarding it jealously for fear of being discovered by me. You kick me out of meetings and hide things as if you're afraid I'll find out. Now, Uchiha is out of control. Nara Shikaku, take office quickly. Shikaku sighed and said, "Elder, don't push too hard, otherwise, you will really get backlash." One sentence made the faces of Koharu and Homura turn blue. "Shikaku, could it be that even you?" "Enough." Danzo growled, shooting them an impatient glance before turning around and leaving. Do these two people really have no brains? The Uchiha are the oldest clan in Konoha and have exceptional abilities. Each of them takes pride in it. But the night of the Kyuubi made Uchiha hit rock bottom. He was criticized, ridiculed, and ostracized. They had long suppressed their anger. This time, Danzo came to stop them again. Moreover, this was while Funan, the deputy leader of the Uchiha clan, was fighting. This is completely challenging Uchiha's bottom line. It would be weird if they didn't break out. The Nara clan is still on their side, otherwise, wouldn't it be better if the other party just didn't show up? It seems that Uchiha Fugaku's bottom line is here, Danzo said silently in his heart. Koharu looked at Danzo's back, looked at Shikaku with cold eyes, and said pointedly, "Shikaku, you are also an old man in the village. The Nara clan has a long heritage and is a famous family in Konoha. I hope you don't make wrong decisions, otherwise, no one can save you." "Please." Shikaku was speechless. This person wouldn't think that Danzo was angry because of him and that's why he left, right? In short, it is better to avoid problems. Stay away. Fools are so scary. Why don't the village elders understand that it's not about wishing the Uchiha gone just because they fear them? You are afraid of Uchiha's power, and they are also worried. Your fear will not make the Uchiha disappear. You just want to maintain control over the village. Except for you, no ninja clan would have such thoughts. On the contrary, they hope that with the existence of powerful clans like Uchiha, the village will be safer. With such a premise, why should they fight Uchiha? If you kill the force protecting the village, your own strength will be damaged. They are fools. Especially after Uchiha made a few troubles recently, they remembered how powerful Uchiha was, and they no longer wanted to fight because they understand what they will gain after the battle. Nothing good will come of it except blood and tears. The harvest after destroying Uchiha will not fall into their hands. The Uchiha are really powerful, Shikaku muttered. The Uchiha are definitely strong. Akimochi Choza on one side nodded in agreement. Don't interrupt, Choza, Yamanaka Inoichi said in a deep voice. He didn't understand what Shikaku meant when he suddenly said this, but he understood that Choza had definitely understood it wrong. Shikaku looked at his two companions and said, "What Uchihas like most is power. They always measure everything by strength, and it has always been that way. Therefore, Fugaku is the leader of the Uchiha. The fundamental reason is that in the past he was the strongest warrior of the Uchiha. In the past a broken bar." "So what?" "So, when someone emerges in the Uchiha clan who enjoys manipulating people, Konoha will undergo catastrophic changes. Uchiha has been moving a lot lately. While stimulating various families in Konoha, it also retains a certain bottom line so that the two sides will not really resort to using force to solve the problem. This scale is very delicately grasped. Uchiha, Funan, there is no need to think too much. It must be the Uchiha deputy leader who took office quickly and forced Fugaku to regress. His attack on the roots and his provocation to the Hokage were definitely part of the plan. It's really awesome. A few small actions suppressed the offensive momentum of the Hokage faction and helped everyone in Konoha recall the power of Uchiha, making each ninja clan reluctant to start a civil war. Shikaku looked at the bloody flames in the distance again. This battle must have been planned by Funan. The purpose is probably to weaken the strength of the root. Although the Anbu is subordinate to the Hokage, they also have their own ideas and will not blindly obey them. Only the routes are different. They are tools through and through. Shikaku's face also flashed a hint of coldness. There are members of the Inoshikacho clans in the route who would want their own clanmates to be under control. Inoichi has expressed his dissatisfaction with Danzo to him many times. What will Uchiha do next? They will probably show the Konoha ninja clans that the Uchiha are not a threat, to reduce hostility towards them. Shikaku mused. Step by step. Can you cope with the aging Hokage and the gloomy Danzo? A broken bar. Boom. A ball of flames like blood surrounded a root ninja. In just a few breaths, the ninja turned into ashes, and even the kunai melted. Ultra high temperature. This is the bloody flame. Funan hummed and danced, steadily approaching the root ninja. There was a playful smile on his lips, but the killing intent in his eyes was enough to freeze his soul. Despite being the party that attacked first, the rout ninjas, whose goal was to assassinate Funan, were forced to retreat. Initially, they were a 10-person assassination team. Now there were only 4 left. One of them was seriously injured. The depletion of his chakra was tremendous. Abiram Shaikuro suppressed the chill in her heart, gritted her teeth and looked at Funan. This monster. Monster? Me? Funan pointed to his nose and said with an aggrieved look, you, a guy who puts insects in his body, actually call me a monster? How can you not be ashamed to say that? You are too shameless. However, the power of the root is really surprising. Funan looked at Shaikuro and sighed. There are only more than 300 jonin in the entire Konoha. This time Danzo sent 10 jonin. Oh, 2 of them are special jonin. That's a pretty impressive amount of power. 2 days ago, Funan had already eliminated 6 members of the root. It's a pity that such power is not enough, Funan said with a smile. Namikaze Minato can instantly kill 50 jonin and secure victory of a big battle. I, Bloody Flame Funan, was as strong a warrior as him back then. You little things are not a problem for me. The ninja at the root stared at Funan coldly. Uchiha Funan, do you think you will win? Hey, what do you mean by this? Is there any backup plan? Funan waved his hand and said, come on, let me see how capable you are. Do it. Following Shaikuro's loud shout, the 4 root ninjas launched a desperate attack on Funan. Are they giving it their all? Funan laughed, and the Sharingan in his eyes began to spin slowly. Come on, let's dance one last time. Counting the time, it's almost time for Sarutobi Hiruzen and the ninjas of Konoha to arrive. Funan said, I'm waiting to see something real from you guys. At least make me try a little. I will post some extra chapters in Patreon. You can check it out. Patreon.com/TitoVilla. Comment 5 comment. Vote 2 left. Chapter 30. Chapter 30. Scared me to death. Super multi-size technique. The powerful Akimiki clansman roared, and his body began to expand. The giant, who was tens of meters tall, let out a roar and rushed towards Funan, his expression filled with determination. Fire release. Great Dragon Fire Technique. A huge fire dragon rose into the sky, larger than the root ninja of the Akimiki clan, then engulfed him in fire and began to burn him. Ah! Heartbreaking screams echoed. The Akimiki clan ninja returned to his original size and then lost all signs of life. What a terrifying chakra, it's even stronger than before. Abiram Shaikuro's steady hands were forming seals, but her heart was trembling. After fighting for so long, the opponent still has such a large amount of chakra and can perform such a powerful fire release technique. Although the chakra of the Uchiha clan is extremely active, the amount of chakra of Uchiha Funan has exceeded that of the Senju clan. Could it be that the other party still has the blood of the Uzumaki clan? Fire release, ash pile burning, huh? Funan looked at the black smoke floating towards him in surprise, and sneered, it's a good idea. Use black smoke to cover up your nano-level bugs, but unfortunately, have you forgotten Uchiha's Sharingan? The threat almost slowly rotated to see through all the secrets in the opponent's ninjutsu. The distinctive tiny chakra within the black smoke could not be hidden. Fire release, Great Fireball Technique. Boom. The unbridled flames consumed all the enemy's black smoke. Shaikuro struggled to avoid them, sweating profusely. The difference in level was overwhelming. Until now, the enemy barely moved, repelling all attacks with the bloody flames. This is in line with Uchiha's style. However, before the size technique, the opponent stood in place and with the fire release counterattacked head-on, which made the opponent feel desperate. What the hell, are you still a human being? As an elite jonin, Shaikuro had a thought in his mind. Is the Hokage a match for the person in front of him? Funan advanced towards the 3 remaining root members and said with a smile, where are your trump cards? Didn't they want to dance? Abiram Shaikuro looked at Funan with hatred and suddenly said coldly, it's over. Whoosh! A light purple seal enveloped Funan. 4 ninjas suddenly appeared around Funan. The seal began to rotate and contract. Go to hell, Uchiha Funan! Abiram Shaikuro roared angrily. His face showed satisfaction. Sealing formation? Funan frowned slightly and murmured, When did it happen? You actually avoided the Sharingan? Although the Sharingan was not as powerful in chakra perception as the Byakugan, it was still sensitive to it. The 4 Jonin who were hiding in the dark actually avoided his detection. As expected of Danzo, he worked very hard to deal with me. Abiram Shikuro said coldly, Uchiha Funan, be obedient and accept the ceiling. Ha ha. Funan smiled and said, you did all this because of the current situation. Even after killing so many of your companions, none of you have attacked. Abiram Shikuro said that classic saying, everything is for Konoha. Funan chuckled, looked up into the distance, and murmured, is it almost done? A broken bar, about 5 kilometers away from where Funan fought, a figure was sitting quietly on a tree. Fire release. Great fireball technique. This figure opened its mouth and spit out a stream of flames, shooting towards the sky. What's surprising is that the flames he spits out are also scarlet in color. I've been throwing fire for so long, how come it hasn't come yet? Could I have made a mistake? This person turned out to be Funan too. He looked around and murmured to himself. As soon as he finished speaking, figures appeared around him. This is a group of people wearing masks, the leader of whom is the 3rd Hokage. These are broken bar. Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes widened, and he looked blankly at Funan, who was alone. Funan, what's going on? Aren't you fighting? What about people? Why is there only one? What happened to Danzo's root ninjas? Furthermore, there are no signs of combat in this area. Funan didn't answer, just smiled slightly and formed a seal with his hands. Dispersion. Bang! A cloud of smoke exploded, and Funan disappeared. Shadow clone technique. Sarutobi Hiruzen exclaimed, damn, we fell into their trap. The remaining words caught in his throat. What kind of trap? He just saw Funan fighting, so he came to support him. That's it. The 3rd Hokage looked at the sensor ninja angrily and shouted, what's going on? Didn't you say that Uchiha Funan is fighting here? When did I say that and how come I didn't know? The sensor ninja muttered in his mind, but said, Lord Hokage, I did sense the aura of Uchiha Funan here, and this is the only place. Stop talking nonsense. The 3rd Hokage shouted angrily, continue your detection, find the real place of the fight. Yes. The sensor ninja quickly closed his eyes. Hokage-sama's current expression is so scary. I can't even look at it. Why is he so angry? The sensor ninja inhaled deeply, trying to calm his pounding heart before he began to perceive his surroundings. He was calm at first, but then he started to worry. It was different than before. Before, he at least could sense Uchiha Funan's blood flames, but now he didn't feel anything at all. In desperation, the sensor ninja opened his eyes and said, Hokage-sama, I could feel Uchiha Funan's presence before, but now I can't find his presence. The Hokage had an icy expression on his face and said, did you need to perceive it before? I could see that blood flame even if I was in Kumogakure. Keep using your perception. Yes. The sensor ninja closed his eyes again and tried to sense his surroundings carefully. The scene became quiet for a moment. After waiting and waiting, many Anbu looked at the sensor ninja and murmured in their hearts, this guy is not asleep, is he? Suddenly, with a shocking aura, a huge figure appeared in the distance. The 3rd Hokage turned his head, looking at the huge figure with a dumbfounded expression, feeling an intense cold on his body and instantly remembering the forbidden power. Mangekyo Sharingan. Suzu. I found it. At this time, a loud shout rang out. The 3rd Hokage, who was staring eagerly at the huge figure, was so frightened by the shout that he almost bit his tongue. But this sensor ninja didn't have any consciousness at all, and said ecstatically, Hokage-sama, I sense. He only saw the expression as if he was going to devour him. The surrounding Anbu were also speechless. Do you need to feel it? They can spot the huge figure dozens of meters high from several kilometers away. Sarutobi Hiruzen stared hard at the sensor ninja, then gritted his teeth and said, let's go. I will post some extra chapters in Patreon, you can check it out. Patreon.com/TitoVilla. Comment 8 Comment. Vote to left. Chapter 31. Chapter 31, he came crying, boom, boom. Fire release, water release. All kinds of ninjutsus flew towards Funan. Funan didn't seem worried at all, his expression was carefree. He crossed his arms and stood there, motionless. A huge scarlet skeleton protected him. All ninjutsu are ineffective when struck on this skeleton. Funan's pupils transformed into an evil triangular symbol. Mangekyo Sharingan, Suzu. At this moment, Funan is like a god overlooking the human world. What exactly is this? Abraham Shikuro collapsed. Just now, it was clear that Uchiha Funan had been trapped in the ceiling formation and was about to complete the capture, but the opponent suddenly burst out and a huge scarlet arm appeared out of thin air. The ceiling formation was completely destroyed by that arm, as if it were made of paper. It was torn apart in an instant. A root jonin was also torn apart. Then, Uchiha Funan waved his arm again, and the bone arm followed suit, splitting a root jonin in half. He swung his fist, and a root ninja was completely crushed. Is he really a human? Abraham Shikuro brought 10 root jonin, almost all of them possessing secret techniques. The original plan was to consume Uchiha Funan's power, as in fact he did not intend to eliminate him directly. Then, 4 hidden jonin jumped out and sealed Funan, who consumed a large amount of chakra. In this situation, Funan managed to free himself from the seal with overwhelming force, killing his companions. Abraham Shikuro couldn't imagine how powerful he really was. Even the Hokage couldn't do it, right? Is this the end? Abraham Shikuro, let's continue dancing. Funan's expression changed. The cloning technique has been lifted. Is Sarutobi Hiruzen coming? The others are almost there too. A playful smile appeared on Funan's lips. The show is about to begin. It's almost time to finish. Funan stretched out and said with a smile, I will remember you, Abraham Shikuro. I, Uchiha Funan, would like to call you the strongest insect user. As for Abraham Shibi, if you are not convinced, go down and find a fight with Abraham Shikuro. Funan formed seals with his hands, and the huge chakra began to circulate crazily. The Mangekyo Sharingan also slowly rotated. The scarlet giant of bones began to engender muscles. His momentum became even more powerful, giving Abraham Shikuro the feeling of suffocation. Humanity seemed insignificant in front of this giant. No, it's impossible, Abraham Shikuro exclaimed. How can you be stronger? 14 jonin cooperated with each other, and under siege, they were unable to force out the true power of Uchiha Funan. Sometimes, I wonder, where is my limit? The triangle in Funan's eyes is like a poisonous snake, biting Abraham Shikuro's flesh and soul. Under Funan's control, the Suzu slowly opened his palm. A bright scarlet Magatama appears in the palm of the hand. It's over, Abraham Shikuro. Let me end your life. Abraham Shikuro glared at Funan, trying not to appear so scared. He is a subordinate of Danzo-sama, and everything he does is for Konoha. He is not afraid of the evil Uchiha. He is righteous. No, stop, Funan. At this moment, a loud shout sounded. And then, countless ninjas appeared in Funan's field of vision. They are approaching rapidly. Hee. Funan gave an imperceptible chuckle and gave away the red Magatama in his hand without hesitation. Boom. Abraham Shikuro and other remaining root ninjas were instantly devoured. An immense wave of energy swept in all directions. The ninjas who had just arrived were inadvertently knocked down. Even the powerful ninjas backed away. The third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, looked horrified. This is the forbidden power of the Mangekyo Sharingan that teacher Tobirama warned them many times. Suzu. When everything calmed down, everyone's eyes widened, and they looked at everything in front of them blankly. A huge pit. Around the pit, white smoke was rising, and there were many places burning with fine blood flames. Abraham Shikuro and others completely disappeared. There is no trace at all. Only the aftermath of the explosion devastated the surrounding trees. This terrifying destructive power shocked all the surrounding ninjas. Is this the true power of bloody flame? Funan? A ninja was muttering to himself. During the Third Shinobi World War, Funan, who was only in his early 10 years, possessed the power to frighten enemy ninjas. That scarlet blood flame seems to be able to burn everything. Even Namikaze Minato, who learned the Flying Thunder God technique, still couldn't suppress him after getting the title of Yellow Flash. However, Funan is a Uchiha after all, and the village's top management deliberately suppresses his fighting situation. Therefore, Many people have only heard of Funan and have not really seen his power. This time, they really saw what he was capable of. This guy is not a human at all. The ninjas who fought side by side with Funan once again recalled the fear of being dominated by the blood flames. The scene became quiet for a moment. It was only when Uchiha Koharu and Mitokado Homura, under the protection of Anbu, arrived at the scene and saw the traces of the battle that they exclaimed in surprise. "What's going on here?" No one replied. They just looked at Funan with complicated eyes. Of course, there are also those who dare not look at Funan, and there are quite a few of them. This time, Funan really shocked many people. The third Hokage's lips trembled, and after a while, he spoke in a low voice. "Funan." Funan turned his head and looked at the third generation with a strange expression. This makes many people feel nervous. Could it be that Uchiha Funan is going to take action? Although it is not clear what is going on, from the traces around it, it can still be seen that Uchiha Funan is under siege. In Konoha, the deputy leader of the Uchiha clan was besieged. This matter is worth pondering no matter how you look at it. Especially when the Hokage ordered Funan to stop just now, Funan launched the attack without hesitation. This is a head-on confrontation. Uchiha Fugaku led 4 Jonin, and his expression became solemn. If Funan really takes action, what should they do? Oh, wait. It should be him and Kuroko, the ones who should think about what to do. Yashiro and the others will most likely follow Funan to kill without hesitation. Wow! Suddenly, a loud cry rang out. Funan patted his chest, looked at the third Hokage pitifully, and screamed, "What the hell? He scared me to death." What the hell? Many ninjas looked at Funan blankly. Just like a demon. What happened now? Having convulsions? Especially the Anbu, they were cursing in their hearts. They were no better than the others. This scream made them think that Funan was about to attack, so they jumped out one by one to protect the Hokage. "Hokage-sama, help me!" Funan continued to shout. "Danzo-sama, he wants to kill me." Woo sniffle. Funan rubbed his eyes for a while, as if he was about to cry. What's going on? The ninja's hearts tightened again. Was he pointing at Danzo? As for Funan's exaggerated performance, forget it. We're really not in the mood to applaud you. The third Hokage smiled stiffly and said, "Funan, Danzo wouldn't try to kill you. We are all companions in the village. I think he would protect you, but killing you would be impossible." "Damn, do you really believe that?" Funan almost spit. "I thought my acting was quite exaggerated, but you, with that expressionless face, just played the soul of this scene." Sure enough, Hiruzen Sarutobi is the great boss of the ninja world. Damn Danzo, I curse you to continue being his lackey. Other people in the village were also a little speechless. Are you too embarrassed? An exaggerated performance, a word that touches people's souls. You both are talents. I will post some extra chapters in Patreon, you can check it out. Patreon.com/TitoVilla, Chapter 32, Chapter 32. Funan's eyes widened, and he stared blankly at the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. He didn't know what to say for a moment, and he had 10,000 words in his mind. "I'm sorry. It was already embarrassing enough for me to perform this play. I was actually forcing myself to act when I was actually feeling terrible." Funan complained in his mind. "You old boy is even more ruthless. Talking about cross-talk with me here in an understatement. I don't know what others think, but I am truly convinced." "With what kind of will did you say these words?" "Oh, will of fire. It is indeed great. Danzo protects me." "Go to hell." "Look at the ninjas behind you. What are their expressions? They look like an abstract painting." "Oh, right. You don't dare look back." "You are embarrassed too." "Damn it. Who are you to say that Danzo is protecting the village?" "Since Danzo took over, has there been any ninja clan that hasn't been bullied by him? It's just a matter of which clan was bullied more than another. In short, I, Uchiha Funan, am too serious, and you, Sarutobi Hiruzen, are a real dog." Huff. Funan took a long breath and said, "Hokage-sama, you win." It was a very incomprehensible sentence, but everyone present understood it instantly, and their expressions became strange. Sarutobi Hiruzen also looked embarrassed. However, he is the one who can become Hokage, and he is the one who has been in power the longest and has become Hokage twice. He said without changing his expression, "What have I gained?" "Funan, what are you talking about? Tell me quickly, what is going on here? Who have you been fighting?" Funan smiled and said, "Who am I fighting? Of course it's Ino Shikacho." Looking at Naro Shikaku and the others whose expressions changed greatly, Funan waved his hand and said, "How is that possible?" Akimochi Choza breathed a sigh of relief, but Yamanaka Inouchi and Naro Shikaku still had gloomy faces. Funan added, "The Abaram clan." "The atmosphere is tense again." "Ha, what a joke." Funan smiled, looked around a few times, and said, "Isn't there anyone from the Abaram clan?" "Deputy leader of Uchiha, I'm here," a low voice said from the corner, coming from Abaram Shibi. "Ah, sorry, I didn't see you." Funan smiled and felt speechless. With the Abaram clan's invisibility effect, which is comparable to Gekko High 8's invisibility shield. "This time I didn't really see it." "Damn it, even with the Mangekyo Sharingan, I couldn't find you." "How did you do it?" "Funan, stop joking and tell me what's going on." The Hokage intervened. His eyes stared at Funan, his pupils had an inexplicable shine. Due to the Mangekyo Sharingan, Funan can clearly see that the third Hokage's chakra is very active, his hands are relaxed, and he can form seals at any time. This is a state of attack at any time. "A warning?" Funan smiled slightly and said, "Actually, I don't even know what happened. I was practicing ninjutsu here when suddenly more than a dozen ninjas jumped on me. I got quite scared. See this cold sweat on my forehead? It hasn't stopped flowing since then." Funan patted his chest and said, "Hokage-sama, with so many enemies entering Konoha, the defensive barrier team has to be severely punished." "What do you think?" Hokage hesitated and said, "Although the barrier team is indeed responsible, but..." "Hokage-sama." Funan directly interrupted Sarutobi Hiruzen's words. He still had a smile on his face and said, "The error of the protective barrier team must be treated seriously." "You think that this time even I, the deputy leader of the Uchiha clan and the head of the Konoha police force, have been the victim of an assassination attempt? How many people in Konoha could avoid being killed if they are attacked like me? If they were to attack the geniuses of several ninja clans, how many of them could avoid being killed?" "You don't just think about yourself, you also need to think about the ninja clan in Konoha, big and small, and even more so the Sarutobi clan." These words made the Hokage's face darken. The expressions of other ninjas also became heavy. As expected of a new Uchiha, he was indeed crazy, actually threatening him in front of so many ninjas. HMPH. Koharu snorted coldly and said, "Uchiha Funan, according to you, are the Uchiha clan, as the Konoha police force, also responsible?" Funan looked at Koharu and said, "Elder Koharu is absolutely right. If we expand the scope of responsibility, certainly the Uchiha clan has its share. But what about Konoha's censors? Don't they have some responsibility too? If we continue investigating..." "All right, let's investigate how the enemy entered Konoha first." The third Hokage interrupted Funan's words and said in a low voice, "Funan, how do you think we should handle the barrier team?" "Leave it to the Uchiha clan," Funan said with a smile. "Uchiha will definitely give everyone an explanation." Homura's expression also changed, and he said, "If you really want to find the problem, then Anbu." Elder Homura must carefully remember the responsibilities of the Anbu. Funan interrupted Mitokado Homura's words unceremoniously, and his words became cold for the first time, saying, "Everyone must assume their responsibility in Konoha." His breathing became heavy, and he was obviously impatient. "Just do it." The third Hokage had a heavy expression on his face and said, "Funan, it's up to you to investigate the barrier team and give me a solution to the barrier as soon as possible." "Understood." Funan returned to his smile. A brief confrontation came to an end. All ninja clans, big and small, know that this is just the beginning. Sarutobi Hiruzen and Uchiha Funan were practically on the verge of a direct confrontation. So what should they do? Looking at the traces of fighting around them, each ninja left with a heavy heart. Uchiha Funan and Fugaku looked at each other without saying a word and returned to the clan with Yashiro and the others. The third Hokage waved his hand towards Utatane Koharu and said, Let's return to the Hokage's office building. The Anbu will notify Danzo to go as well. Plus they will make sure that everything here is handled properly. Yes. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at some broken limbs on the ground and sighed heavily. Danzo's assassination failed. So, there must be a backlash from Uchiha Funan. However, why does Funan need to intervene in the barrier team? Is there something on the barrier team? If one of the teams in charge of the barrier is lost, it could be easily replaced. At most, a few dozen ninjas would be lost. What exactly does Funan want to do? Hiruzen frowned slightly, feeling a little headache. Because of Uchiha, he hasn't slept for 3 days. He's getting older, and now he really can't hold on anymore. Homura saw something was wrong and stepped forward. Hiruzen, are you okay? I'm just a little tired. Let's go. The third Hokage took the lead and returned to the Hokage residence. The Anbu quickly cleaned up the place. There really wasn't much to clean up. Uchiha Funan had been thorough. He reduced all the route ninjas to fragments or ashes, leaving only a few limbs and dust. The identity cannot be found, which is the reason why the two sides avoid a head-on confrontation. The Anbu leader was thoughtful. Not only is the Hokage unwilling to start a civil war, but is Uchiha Funan also unwilling? Since when did Uchiha people become so calm? And also, the Anbu leader looked at the Hokage residence and then at the Uchiha clan. Both sides cannot be reconciled, and one side is destined to be completely destroyed. I will post some extra chapters in Patreon. You can check it out. Patreon.com/TitoVilla. Comment 6 comment. Vote to left. Chapter 33. Chapter 33. The choice of Inoshikacho. Danzo gripped his staff with trembling hands, his face showing a mixture of anger and indecipherable fear. Failure. He had thought about failure, but he never thought that it would be so miserable. 14 Jonin, even if there are some special Jonin among them. Being a special Jonin means reaching the level of Jonin in a specific field. They are not as well-rounded as real Jonin. They only possess unique talents in certain aspects. There are some special Jonin that can completely crush real Jonin in some specific situations. This time, the abilities of these several special Jonin that Danzo sent were aimed at restraining Uchiha Funan. It was supposed that when they face Funan, the effect is even better than a real Jonin. They were real talents. And yet all 14 of them were annihilated. This was a huge blow to Danzo. The blow to the root was also severe. The Jonin in the root were almost wiped out, and there were only a few Jonin who could take action, especially the nano-level insect user Abiram Shikuro. His death in battle made Danzo's heart twitch. That is a real trump card in Danzo's hand. Damn Funan, damn Uchiha. Danzo looked ferocious, out of control. The crutch in his hand was pressed into the ground. He didn't want to admit that he was already afraid of Funan. 14 Jonin specifically targeting their weaknesses were eliminated by Funan flawlessly. How strong was he really? In his impression, it seems that only 2 people can do it. Senju Tobirama and Namikaze Minato. These 2 Hokages are the fastest in the ninja world. Can Sarutobi Hiruzen do it? He didn't know if he could before, but he definitely can't do it now. After all, Hiruzen, once he became Hokage, barely showed his power. Swoosh. An Anbu appeared in front of Danzo. I understand. Tell Hiruzen I'll be right over. Danzo spoke quickly without waiting for the Anbu to speak. If Hiruzen didn't send someone to ask him to meet, he would go meet him on his own. Understood. Anbu paused for a moment, then used the body flicker technique to disappear again. Uchiha, just wait. Danzo murmured with cold eyes. It won't end. This is just the beginning. You evil beings will cause unimaginable harm to Konoha. You must be eliminated. Everything is for Konoha. A broken bar. Shikaku, Inoichi, what's wrong with you? The Nara clan, Shikaku's family, Inoshikacho are drinking tea. Akimochi Choza looked at the gloomy 2 people suspiciously. Nara Shikaku and Yamanaka Inoichi looked at each other. Nara Shikaku said, Choza, we are thinking about what Uchiha Funan said. Uchiha Funan? Akimochi Choza scratched his head and said, which sentence? The phrase related to us. Shikaku explained. The murder was carried out by the Inoshikacho trio. Akimochi Choza understood, but became even more confused, and said, Didn't Uchiha have fun and say it was a joke? Yamanaka Inoichi looked helpless and said, if it's really a joke, that would be fine. No way. Akimochi Choza's eyes widened, and he said, we don't. Wait, the members of our families who were kidnapped by Danzo? That's right. Nara Shikaku said with a gloomy and somewhat urgent expression, of the three Inoshikacho clans, Danzo has stolen the members of each clan. Yamanaka Inoichi laughed at himself. Our family is the most useful to him, so he constantly takes away my clan members. Hearing this, Choza was silent. He kidnapped our members to train them in the route, using them for his missions. If they succeed, Danzo benefits. If they fail, like this time, Uchiha Funan channels some of his resentment onto us. It is truly worthy of him, the shinobi of darkness. Nara Shikaku's expression became increasingly gloomy. The three were the leaders of their respective clans in the Inoshikacho trio. Nara Shikaku, especially, was the main leader of the trio. There are many things that they simply cannot avoid. Forget it, after so many years, I have already become accustomed to it. Inoichi looked helpless and said, should we face Danzo directly? Why not? Shikaku's response was surprising. Shikaku. Inoichi and Choza stared at Shikaku, unable to speak. Are you crazy? The Inoshikacho trio has always been strong supporters of the Hokage. Is Danzo the Hokage? Shikaku asked back. No, but it doesn't matter. Shikaku interrupted Inoichi and said, Inoichi, the roots have suffered a great loss this time and Danzo will definitely look to replenish the lost members. The Inoshikacho trio will surely have a large number of members selected by him. Wait, it won't be long before the pressure is on us. Is this what you want? This. Inoichi and Choza both frowned. Although Inoshikacho has been following the Hokage, how many more years can Sarutobi Hiruzen remain the Hokage? Shikaku looked indifferent and said, he is already over 60 years old and should have retired from the position of Hokage long ago. If it hadn't been for Minato's death, his fists clenched. Inoshikacho has been following the Hokage. After Namikaze Minato came to power, Inoshikacho became his supporter and received special care. Because of Namikaze Minato's youth, he who had just become Hokage was ignored by the third generation and others and became a mere decoration. Nara Shikaku was keenly aware of the opportunity, and decisively led Inoshikacho to join Minato. Minato valued him and entrusted him with important tasks. Things were just as Nara Shikaku thought. With the help of Inoshikacho, Namikaze Minato gradually began to take power. Inoshikacho benefited accordingly. Everything seemed to be going in a positive direction. It just happened that at this moment, Minato died in the battle. The third Hokage actually came back to power. This became a problem for the Inoshikacho trio. Although he did not reach the point of being harassed by Hiruzen, his attitude and words towards the Inoshikacho trio were extremely favorable. But was it really like that? As a Jonin commander, Nara Shikaku felt cold all over. He saw the situation too clearly. Danzo used his power to overwhelm others and snatched the ninjas of the Inoshikacho clans. The Hokage had left them out of direct power. Although the Inoshikacho trio always followed the Hokage, there was a big gap between them. Now, we have to take action. Nara Shikaku's words were full of determination. Why? The other two people asked in confusion. Is it because of Uchiha? Don't you understand yet? Shikaku sighed and said, today, Uchiha Funan mentioned Inoshikacho and the Abaram clan. That was a warning. Members of our four clans attacked the deputy leader of the Uchiha clan. No matter who gave the order, the other party could ignore it and impose the crime on the four of us, because they are members of our clans. Inoichi and Choza also frowned. If it was just that, it would be fine. Nara Shikaku smiled bitterly and said, think about Shimura Danzo. Is he trustworthy? Even that person. Is it worth facing Uchiha head-on for him? I can guarantee it. Nara Shikaku raised a finger and said, if the Hokage and the Uchiha clan start a war, we will be at the front. From the beginning to the end, the Hokage and the others have never regarded us as their own. In their eyes, only the four of them are their own. The value of our existence is to sacrifice for them. From another perspective, if we continue to follow the Hokage, the Uchiha clan will also consider us targets of attack. We have no choice. What do you want to do? Inoichi said solemnly. Help the Uchiha clan? Uchiha broken bar. Nara Shikaku murmured to himself. as if thinking. His eyes gradually became firm, and said, Uchiha cannot be the Hokage. This is inevitable, and Inoshikacho must stand by the Hokage. The two looked at Narushikaku in horror, and they vaguely understood each other's plan. Narushikaku smiled slightly and said, it's time for Sarutobi Hiruzen to abdicate. Let's elect the new Hokage. Chapter 34, Plot Twists and Uchiha Debates. A group of people with red eyes were sitting together for a meeting. Funan took out his standard equipment again and sipped tea on the side. He also took out a recliner, but it was kicked out by Setsuna, almost flying out with him. Are you playing here in the Uchiha's most crucial meeting? Funan. Fugaku suppressed his anger and said, the whole family is following your orders. You need to be more serious about it. Funan said in shock. Am I not serious? Fugaku resisted the urge to roar. What do you think? I feel like I'm doing well. Funan responded. At this moment, Setsuna and Soji also looked at him with evil gazes. Okay. Funan reluctantly put down the teacup in his hand and said, let me say a few words. First, a broken bar. You dare to try this nonsense? Fugaku activated his Mangekyo Sharingan. Clan leader, are you particularly irritable today? Funan said timidly. Nonsense. Fugaku said angrily, do you know how my day was? I almost got into a fight with Danzo, and the civil war in the village almost started today. Thinking about it, even he was surprised by his behavior today. Incredible. Was it really him? Reviewing his actions of the day, he began to sweat, but of course, he wouldn't admit it. Yes. Setsuna nodded repeatedly and said, Funan, don't you know, our patriarch finally showed some character. I thought someone was controlling him with genjutsu. Fugaku looked at him coldly. What did he mean by that? Was he implying something? He was the head of the clan. Thinking of Danzo's blue face today, Fugaku felt secretly happy. He had wanted to slap that face for a long time. He would have the chance. Fugaku looked at Funan. With this guy here, there was no need to worry. Nuisance. Soji sneered and said, what kind of genjutsu can a Mangekyo Sharingan control? A few glances imperceptibly passed over the head of a certain guy with his head lowered. Funan really wants to know if the Kotomatsu Kami with the strongest illusion can control someone with the Mangekyo Sharingan. If the Kotomatsu Kami could truly control anyone, there would be no need to do anything but calmly wait for someone like the Black Mosaic, focused on saving his mother, to rescue Otsutsuki Kaguya and then a broken bar. A Kotomatsu Kami, a broken bar. Oh, forget it. It's not that Funan looks down on Shizui, but it's just that he absolutely can't do it. Even the Dance King, when facing the Kotomatsu Kami, would probably just laugh and say, don't stop, keep dancing. So, what are the limits of the Kotomatsu Kami? Could an experiment be done? Funan touched his chin. Fugaku is impossible. The filial son is no longer the number one filial son of the ninja world. Him himself is even less likely. Wait. There is still another Mangekyo Sharingan. Funan's eyes lit up. According to Funan's speculation, the great stupidity that is Uchiha Obito, he definitely couldn't sit still after such a big thing happened in Konoha. The other party should come to visit him in the next few days. There is absolutely no pressure to use the Kotomatsu Kami on that bastard. Uchiha Obito, the villainous mini-boss of the Naruto series. Funan doesn't have a good impression of this guy at all. Uchiha Itachi could at least explain that he was lost on the road of life. After all, having a father like Uchiha Fugaku was under pressure from the Hokage. After all, having a father like Uchiha Fugaku and being under the pressure of the Hokage, under that double pressure, anyone would have collapsed. That's understandable. Natsuo thought. My disciple Itachi is so pitiful. You, Obito Uchiha. You're just an idiot. If the person you love dies, you can avenge them. You kill everyone in Kirigakure, and no one will say anything. Even those who find out might give you approval. You might as well find a way to resurrect her. What has Konoha done to make you so angry? The town where you grew up, the family that raised you and gave you life, how have you turned them into a disgrace? On the night of the nine-tailed demon fox's attack, almost half of Konoha was dyed red due to your actions. Namikaze Minato was sincere with you, right? You killed his wife and left a small child to survive alone. The Uchiha clan are your family and have the same blood as you, but you joined forces with the One-Eyed Bandaged and Itachi to destroy them. Just thinking about that person makes Funan feel a toothache. Sometimes you can't just blame the Hokage line. The problems also come from the Uchiha. What left Funan speechless the most was that after obtaining the eyes of Nagato, Obito's grandson, he did not seek to find a way to resurrect Nohara-in and was instead obsessed with the infinite Tsukuyomi. So the fate of the world depends on the life or death of your little girl? Does the world have to restart if she dies? Speaking of which, how does the plot develop if I revive Nohara-in? I hold Nohara-in in my arms in front of you every day, and I constantly make you witness our displays of affection. I don't think you can keep your composure. By the way, you are Uchiha Madara now, you are not Uchiha Obito. Like Madara, you don't have to care what he does with Rin. Funan smiled with a holy expression. Funan, Setsuna lowered her voice, with a threatening look. What are you thinking about again? Funan sighed and said, I'm thinking about Uchiha's future. How can I believe you? Look at that mean smile on your face. Looking at the cold gazes of several people, Funan explained, I'm really thinking about the future. Forget it. This time, I almost destroyed the route. Danzo will be very honest in a short period of time. The Uchiha, as I said before, should meddle less in other people's business, learn more ninjutsu, and express our goodwill to the villagers. Everyone was speechless. Do you still want to torment them? What level of genjutsu would the Uchiha smile have according to the classification of justice? Anyway, it disturbed the minds of quite a few villagers. These past few days, the villagers have begun to get used to it to a certain extent, so there haven't been many incidents. On the first day, there was quite a lot of chaos. It seems that it even reached the Hokage's ears. By the way, why did I hear that the clan members encountered difficulties in learning ninjutsu? Funan said in surprise, it should be easy for Uchihas to learn ninjutsu, right? What's the point of having the Sharingan? Can't they just copy ninjutsu? According to Funan's understanding, the Uchiha's learning of ninjutsu should be absolutely smooth. One person learns a ninjutsu, and the others copy it. They should finish learning in a few days. After all, what he brought out was not any particularly advanced ninjutsu. There are only a few A-level ones. It's not as simple as you said, Fugaku said angrily. One member learns, the others copy. That's fine. But what about the first to learn? It's only been a few days since the justice came into the hands of the clan members. Furthermore, copying with the Sharingan differs from person to person, and not everyone can copy it perfectly just by looking at it. Funan pursed his lips and said, you mean they are worse than an outsider? Fugaku's eyes twitched, and he gritted his teeth and said, Take Kakashi became a jonin at the age of 12. At that time, Konoha was in a period of war, and yet he was the only one. Not to mention now in times of peace. If all the clan members were that level, would we still need you to lead the Uchiha clan? I would have beaten that old Hokage a long time ago. Cough, cough. Uchiha Soji couldn't help but cough. In the past 2 days, not only have the ordinary clan members changed, but Fugaku has also gone wild. Uchiha Soji became more and more convinced that Funan is different from them, from his thoughts to his actions, and now it's starting to affect them. Alright, Funan said without worry. That's not urgent. Anyway, we're not going to start a fight. From beginning to end, Funan's purpose of strengthening the Uchiha clan and weakening the Hokage line was to avoid civil war. What's so good about the civil war? It is better to play little by little. Funan. Fugaku looked serious and said, will there be war between the Uchiha clan and the village? Chapter 35. Chapter 35, everyone has a meeting. Funan raised his head and said seriously, clan leader, I have said it before, everything I do is to avoid war. Ask yourself something. On a mountain, there are 2 old tigers. How would you stop them from fighting? I know this answer. Shizui seemed eager to respond. Fugaku thought for a while and said, if the 2 tigers have similar strength, it would be better if there is a third enemy that forces them not to start an internal war. Wrong. Funan flatly rejected it. Huh? Shizui was startled. Is this answer not correct? Isn't that how you explained it to me before, Funan? Funan chuckled and said, There is no room for 2 tigers in one mountain, unless there is 1 male and 1 female. Everyone was startled, and then, Fugaku, get out. Soji, get out. Shizui, get out. Itachi was about to speak when Funan glanced at him and quickly lowered his head. In an instant, he directly picked up the chair. Okay, just kidding. Why don't you have any humor at all? Does it really bother you that much? It was just a bad joke. Was that really worth getting angry about? Funan waved his hands repeatedly. Fugaku rubbed his eyebrows and said, Funan, be more serious. Your joke is in bad taste but full of provocation. Didn't you see that each of them was tense? They are discussing about the Uchiha and the village, whether or not there will be a war. This is a serious problem, so save your bad jokes, or else they will really hit you. Shizui glanced at Fugaku with sympathy in his eyes. This sentence has been said by him before, and he is very clear about the helplessness when he said it. If you keep bothering me, I'll hit you, brat. Uchiha Setsuna said this very proudly. The old man has been very happy these 2 days. Although his grandson is the deputy leader, he has taken charge of the power of Uchiha, and the Konoha police force is also firmly in his hands. This is equivalent to the victory of the Hawks. Furthermore, the changes that Funan brought to the Uchiha clan had disturbed many people. Setsuna was secretly enjoying this, especially after the confrontations with the Hokage faction, where Funan emerged victorious. This made Setsuna even more happy. After Uchiha Madara left, as his follower, Uchiha Setsuna did not remain silent. He continued Uchiha Madara's style and attempted to gain the village by force. In the end, Uchiha Setsuna was defeated by the 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. However, Sarutobi Hiruzen did not kill him, but allowed him to continue to lead the Uchiha Hawks. This is undoubtedly a great shame and humiliation for Setsuna. He understood what Sarutobi Hiruzen meant. It's just that the Uchiha Hawks led by him are easier to deal with. From the beginning to the end, the other party never took him into consideration. Now there's a new player, Sarutobi Hiruzen. How do you feel? How much of the confidence you had back then is left? Setsuna showed a sly smile. Seeing this, Funan murmured in a low voice, Old man, with that smile, you look like a movie villain. If someone sees you on the street, they will most likely slap you to death. Setsuna rolled his eyes and was too lazy to pay attention to this grandson of his. You talk like you're a saint. Back then, I too. Funan interrupted and muttered, Sarutobi Hiruzen. Bang! The veins on Setsuna's forehead began to pulse rapidly, and the table in front of him broke into pieces. Fugaku and Soji almost laugh. That's his beloved grandson. A fierce backstab. HMPH. Setsuna snorted coldly and said indifferently, I really have to thank Sarutobi Hiruzen for showing mercy back then. Otherwise a grandson like you would never have had the chance to be born. This is also okay. Soji is speechless. Funan, I'm not talking about what you plan to do to the village. Fugaku brought the topic back and said, my concern is whether the village will do something against us, the Uchiha clan. The others nodded. There are only about 10 people here at the moment. All of them are the core members of the Uchiha clan. Key members of the clan leaders faction, as well as the Hawk and Dove factions, in addition to Shizui and Itachi, along with Funan and some of his subordinates. These are all trustworthy Uchiha. It is these people who keep Uchiha running. Facing these people, Funan did not hide anything and said bluntly, no, there won't be any head-on conflicts in a short time. There may be some small tricks in the dark. This is unavoidable. Why? Funan curled his lips and said, only those with big fists have the right to speak. The Hokage faction does not have this strength now. What do you mean by this? Fugaku hesitated. Although our clan has become vigilant, there is a high probability that the Hokage faction does not trust the Hyuga clan. What about the other ninjas? There are hundreds of ninja clans, large and small, in Konoha. In recent years, civilian ninjas have gradually become more prominent. Several years have passed since the Third Shinobi World War. Not only have other villages recovered to a certain extent, but so has Konoha. Funan raised 2 fingers and said, these past few days, I've eliminated 20 jonin of them. 20 jonin? Not even the village can produce that many jonin at once. They must have brought in some Anbu. Root is a branch of Konohagakure's Anbu training subdivision. After Sarutobi Hiruzen became Hokage, he was handed over to Danzo. Because Sarutobi Hiruzen had just become Hokage and had a weak foundation, he acquiesced to the expansion and darkness of his roots. It can be said that Danzo played a crucial role in Sarutobi Hiruzen establishing himself as Hokage. But, as one of the most manipulative and oldest people in the ninja world, Sarutobi Hiruzen could not allow Root to expand without restrictions. Therefore, Root's power is very strong, but it was limited to a certain range. If Danzo could pull out 20 special Jonin and Jonin from the Root at once, he would have reached heaven long ago. Even the Hokage would have trouble sleeping at night. What? Fugaku and the others stood up in shock. Setsuna stammered, "You said you killed 20 Jonin this time?" "Don't talk nonsense. People will misunderstand that I am too cruel." Funon glared at Setsuna and explained seriously, "I only killed 14 ninjas this time, including a few special Jonin." Fuck you. When has it been? Are you still pretending? The place was in an uproar. In the small conference room, the Uchihas were in chaos. Some people had witnessed the Suzu's manifestation, while others had heard from word of mouth how their vice-clan leader had demonstrated his power by turning enemies into pulp. But no one knew who the opponents were or how many they were. They thought Funon was making such a big noise just to scare the Hokage and the others, who knew that the enemy was also so powerful. Setsuna couldn't hold it back on the spot. He turned to look at Fugaku and said, "Can you do it too?" "Fugaku, what are you implying, old man?" Setsuna coughed dryly and said, "Don't look at me like that, Fugaku. I was just asking if the Suzu is that powerful." HMPH. Fugaku snorted coldly, looked at Funon solemnly, and said, "The Suzu, a forbidden dojutsu, a technique so powerful in both attack and defense. I have only used it once, although it is powerful, but..." Setsuna immediately said, "In other words, you can't do it?" Fugaku, "Puha, stubborn old man. I've been putting up with you for a long time. If you want to praise your grandson, do it. Why try to put me down? Because I once suppressed you? Is today the day of your revenge?" Chapter 36. Chapter 36. 3 pairs of Mangekyo Sharingan. The Uchiha looked at Funon excitedly. There are only more than 30 Jonin in the entire Uchiha, and Funon killed 20 root Jonin in one go. Although there are special Jonin among them, although those ninjas are incomparable to Uchiha Jonin, this still proves Funon's combat power. The Uchiha are counting on their fingers. Is there anyone in Konoha who is Funon's opponent? The answer is no. The third Hokage would never be able to do it, facing a combination of 20 Jonin and special Jonin at the same time. Furthermore, Funon has the Mangekyo Sharingan and has the power of Suzu, and Fugaku also has it. Even if it's a little bit different, it's not too far behind. With 2 such powerful ninjas in the Uchiha clan, what else do they have to fear? One of the Uchiha shouted on the spot, "Defeat the evil Sarutobi Hiruzen, kill the dark Shimura Danzo, and capture him alive." Funon looked at the Uchiha with a gloomy expression and said with a half-smile, "What a strong impulse. Go ahead and do it if you want." The Uchiha immediately lowered his head. Okay. Funon waved his hand and said, "Is this little thing worth getting so excited about? It seems like we Uchiha haven't seen the world." "I still liked their rebellious looks. Get back to normal." The Uchihas pouted. Keep pretending. We can't believe you weren't excited when you first got this power." Funon is right. Fugaku suddenly said, "The Mangekyo Sharingan is a forbidden power. If it's not necessary, it shouldn't be used. It's a card up your sleeve, not a power that can be used casually." The Uchihas were surprised. But Funon knew that Fugaku was pointing at himself. He must have used the power of the Mangekyo Sharingan many times, so he knew the consequences of using it. Maybe Fugaku's eyesight was already impaired. That would explain why Funon, being the sub-leader of the clan, could so easily control the family. However, that did not apply to Funon. he could use the Mangekyo Sharingan at will. He was not afraid even if he used Suzu every day. Funan gently covered his eyes with his hand. He thought that he would need to constantly raise the level of the Sharingan until he reached the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan to use the power without restrictions. Who would have thought that after awakening the exclusive techniques of the Mangekyo Sharingan would really give him a surprise? Continue with the tropic just now, Fugaku said solemnly. If the Hokage faction loses 20 Jonin and special Jonin, they really don't dare to act rashly. After all, Uchiha still has 3 pairs of Mangekyo Sharingan. 3 pairs? The Uchihas were startled. Fugaku has a pair and Funan has a pair. How can there be a third pair? Fugaku did not hide anything and said, Shizui, Uchiha Shizui has also awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan. Fugaku glared at Shizui. This news was told to him by Funan. Every time he thought about this, he felt very angry. Hadn't he contributed enough to the family? Nobody trusted him. Shizui? Uchiha Soji opened her eyes in surprise. He didn't even know about this. The information about the Mangekyo Sharingan was only for Funan and... Huh? Shizui was surprised. He was beginning to understand. Funan explained, Shizui has also awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan and has informed the Hokage and others. Therefore, the Uchiha clan has 3 pairs of Mangekyo Sharingan, which is enough to keep the people of the Hokage faction quiet. May the Uchiha be blessed by the heavens. The surprise came too quickly and the Uchiha fell silent. They were bewildered. It turns out that the power of their own clan was greater than they imagined. So why are they holding back? There are not just 1 or 2 people who have such thoughts. However, in Funan's playful eyes, everyone remained silent. Fugaku is extremely tough in Uchiha. Both hawks and doves have been suppressed by him. Therefore, many people are afraid of him. But with Funan, the Uchiha were even more afraid of him. Because you can't imagine what kind of method he will use to deal with you. Like last time, he controlled a Uchiha with a genjutsu and made him dance seductively on a steel pipe. This is simply worse than death. That person has become depressed and is now hiding in his room, refusing to go out. Remember, Funan pointed at the Uchiha and said in a deep voice, you are all high-level Uchiha, not little children. Don't act impulsively, otherwise you will end up getting beaten. Uchiha Setsuna had a gloomy expression on his face. He felt like he was being attacked by a Mangekyo. The glances that fell on him were the most numerous. This bastard grandson, I must find time to deal with you. Funan continued, the Uchiha clan is very powerful, and the village is even more powerful. We want to avoid civil war, since if it happened it would not be good for anyone. Moreover, other villages are also looking at the lineage of the Uchiha clan. You must know this very well. Without Konoha, would we be able to survive the attacks of those villages? Please keep a clear head, we are in a good situation now. Don't destroy our own hopes. Yes. Funan's face softened a little and he said, follow my plan step by step, steadily. If you take too big a step, you will break your balls. In the end you will be the one who will get hurt. The Uchiha looked at Funan speechlessly. As the deputy leader of the Uchiha clan and the captain of the Konoha police force, Uchiha Funan, you are so down to earth. Okay. You all go and do your own thing. Yes. Yashiro and others left one after another. Only Fugaku, Setsuna, and Soji were left, along with Funan, Shizui, and Itachi. These 6 people are the core layer of the Uchiha clan's power. The Patriarch faction, the Hawks, the Doves and the new faction, headed by Funan. Needless to say, Shizui and Itachi automatically changed their factions and sat closer to Funan. The plan went very smoothly. Funan said, the confrontation between the Uchiha clan and the Hokage faction has been made clear. Now, we will see who comes out on top. I think most ninjas are not willing to get involved in this mess. No one is stupid, especially the clan leaders. They all know that if they join now, they will only become cannon fodder. What's more, Sarutobi Hiruzen and the others are no longer trustworthy. In a few days, I will find a way to aggravate this. Fugaku said, you must pay attention to the several big clans. Their power cannot be underestimated. Hyuga, Inoshikacho, Abiram, Inuzuka. I can make most of them remain neutral, and Hyuga and Inoshikacho are no exception. We can even make them stand on our side. It depends on whether Sarutobi Hiruzen cooperates or not. This sentence, not surprisingly, received a lot of surprised looks. Hyuga is fine, but Inoshikacho is a stalwart of the Hokage faction. Can they be persuaded? Fugaku glanced at Funan and said, I believe that during these years of peace, you have not only been influencing those of our clan. It's okay, I'll leave you in charge of everything. Funan didn't pay attention to Fugaku's lukewarm words. It is understandable that the old man was knocked down by him and felt embarrassed. Actually, he has already saved Fugaku a lot of face. Otherwise, why would there be any need for the transition of the position of deputy leader? He could have been the leader directly. It's just that Fugaku has a lot of prestige within the clan after all, and the attitude of the village must also be considered. Funan first became the deputy clan leader and took over the power. After a few years, he became the new clan leader smoothly. Everyone looks good, and you, Uchiha Fugaku, don't give me any trouble. Everyone is quite clear in their hearts. Are your eyes okay? Fugaku suddenly asked. Setsuna and Soji also looked over. They are all the core members of the Uchiha clan and also know some of the family's secrets. For example, the side effects of the Mangekyo Sharingan. Uchiha Madara had encountered this kind of dilemma back then. But what about Funan? It sounds very powerful to take down 14 Jonin at once. How much people power was consumed? Funan covered his eyes and smiled slightly. He didn't respond to Fugaku, but instead looked to the side and said slowly, Dude, you've been here for so long spying on us, don't you want to say something? Hearing this, the expressions of Fugaku and others changed drastically. Is anyone here? They turned their heads and looked where Funan was pointing. There, after a distortion in space, a person wearing an orange spiral-shaped mask appeared. Hello to all the Uchiha. Chapter 37, Infiltration and Revelation. Who are you? Fugaku shouted. His expression was cold. How is it possible? In the central area of the Uchiha clan, an unknown person managed to enter. How has he managed to evade surveillance barriers and patrol teams, especially the current patrol teams? Under Funan's orders, sensor ninjas have joined the patrol team. Although the number is not large, it ensures that each patrol team has at least one. A new type of barrier has also been added, the configuration of which is only known to Fugaku, Funan, Setsuna and Soji. Furthermore, the people present were elite ninjas at worst, and there were 3 pairs of Mangekyo Sharingan. Before Funan opened his mouth, neither he nor Shizui noticed each other. This is too strange. Funan intervened before the masked man spoke. Clan leader. He is also in Uchiha, but he seems to be a missing nin. A missing nin of the Uchiha clan? Fugaku and the others frowned, as if remembering. There aren't many missing nin of the Uchiha clan, only a few in total. And he can also hide around him without anyone noticing. Who could it be? The masked man's entire face was in shadow, but Funan could sense that the other man was sizing him up. Unconsciously, Funan gave a thumbs up and smiled at the masked man, showing his shining teeth. The masked. This classic shape reminded him of someone familiar. He couldn't help but feel a little restless. Furthermore, being discovered by Funan was not in his plans, which increased his alert level. Facing the 6 strongest Uchiha, which included 3 pairs of Mangekyo Sharingan, the masked man would flee as soon as someone made a move, otherwise they would beat him to death. Damn, I haven't been here for just a few days, and the Uchiha clan has become the most dangerous place in the entire ninja world. Except for the god of Shinobi and the ghost of the Uchiha, whoever comes will die. Uchiha Obito took a deep breath and said in a low voice, You can actually find me. It seems that great talents have been born in the clan. Avoid the sense ninjas and protective barriers to reach us without being detected. You are not an ordinary Uchiha. Are you a wielder of the Mangekyo Sharingan? Funan looked at Uchiha Obito and chuckled. That smile had a profound meaning, which made Obito even more uncomfortable. He had a vague feeling that Funan knew more than he imagined. Mangekyo Sharingan? Fugaku and others were really shocked. Despite the long history of the Uchiha clan, documented wielders of the Mangekyo Sharingan were truly few. This man actually has a Mangekyo Sharingan? Obito was also shocked. He looked at Funan with cold eyes and said, how does someone who hasn't left the village in years know so much? Are you really Uchiha Funan? Ha ha. I was discovered by you. Funan showed the threat Omo in his eyes, crossed his arms over his chest, and said arrogantly, in that case, I will tell you my real name. I'm Uchiha Madara. He stretched out his finger fiercely, pointed at Uchiha Obito, and said, want to dance? Damn it. The corners of Fugaku's lips twitched. Just you? Uchiha Madara? Out of here, after raising the tension like this? And now you come with this? When will the bad jokes end? Especially Satsuna and Soji. They had both met Uchiha Madara in person and followed his teachings. Is there even a Funan hair that looks like Uchiha Madara? A guy who carries a cage of birds and drinks tea all day, in addition to flirting with the girls of the clan. Is this what Madara Uchiha is like? What the hell? When Uchiha Madara died, he was still a virgin. Meanwhile this guy has almost killed 100 people. Funan ignored the people rolling their eyes at him and said to Obito, boy, tell me your name. Uchiha Obito. Obito complained in his mind. Who the hell am I supposed to say who I am now? What? Funan raised his eyebrows and said, you courageous rat, don't you even dare to say your name in front of me, Uchiha Madara? Uchiha Obito said in a low voice, that's enough, Uchiha Funan, let me ask you, do you hate Danzo? Funan didn't even think about it and said directly, I don't hate it. Funan thought, I really love Danzo to death. You wouldn't believe it. If it weren't for the bastard Shimura Danzo and Sarutobi Hiruzen himself, the village might be a different place, much more dangerous for the Uchiha. Now, everyone hates Danzo. If there is any dirty thing, they will all throw it at Danzo. How great. Everyone's slogan is Damn Danzo. Therefore, the Uchiha have a chance. At the same time that Danzo was defeated, Danzo was succeeded. That's why when Funan has nothing to do, he will create some small problems and throw them at Danzo's head. In recent years, due to the good relationship between Danzo and Sarutobi Hiruzen, the ninja clans, large and small, did not dare to make a sound, and they swallowed a lot of bitter fruits. In reality, many hate Danzo deeply. This is the reason why Funan dared to cause trouble at this time. Otherwise, even if Funan can use the Suzu indefinitely, he wouldn't dare to be so reckless. Yes, he can defeat Konoha, but what about the other 4 villages? A bunch of them will pile on him to death. HMPH. Obito snorted coldly and said, you have been fighting with him for several years, and now it is even more obvious. It is already a life and death situation, so why bother pretending in front of me? It seems like you don't believe me no matter what I say. Funan spread his hands and said, okay, stranger with the Mangekyo Sharingan, what's your goal? Obito looked at the others and said coldly, now is not the right time, just wait, we will meet again, Uchiha Funan. The space was distorted and Obito disappeared. Damn it, from the beginning to the end, he was suppressed by Funan. He didn't even dare to say his name. This caused Obito to choke back all the rest of his words. He wants to leave, calm down and find his drive again. Besides, there are many things he cannot say in front of others. Disappeared. Fugaku frowned and said coldly, time and space ninjutsu. This kind of ninja is the most troublesome. It should be his Mangekyo Sharingan technique. Funan smiled faintly and said, Itachi, go and check on the barrier team and the sensor ninjas. They must have had an accident. Understood. Itachi used the body flicker technique to leave. After a while, Itachi returned and then reported, Funan Aniki, you are right. Some of those in charge of the barriers fell into genjutsu and deactivated the barriers. The sensor ninjas are also unconscious. When I arrived, the patrol teams had already found them and were about to come to report. Funan nodded, looked at everyone, and said, now you know why I changed the barrier, the secret sentry and the patrol team, right? The Uchiha clan has almost become a tourist attraction. Anyone who wants to come can come. Fugaku took a deep breath and said in a cold voice, Funan, you only need to worry about external affairs. You don't have to worry about internal matters. I will personally take care of it. and Elder Setsuna and Elder Soji will also help me. Setsuna and Soji nodded. In the past, even if Itachi admitted personally that he informed the Hokage and others of all the barriers, patrols and secret sentries, Setsuna and the others still didn't care. This is the pride of the Uchiha clan, self-confidence. They don't believe that anyone dares to break into the Uchiha clan. Sarutobi Hiruzen and the others are no exception. Just like the Uchiha is divided into 4 factions, if you include the Funan faction, Konoha as a whole has many factions. It is not so easy to wage a civil war. In the Naruto series, during the night of the genocide, the Hokage faction and others had already completely infiltrated the Uchiha clan, with 2 main Kyo Sharingan that cooperated with the actions of Root and Anbu, in addition to the fact that the Uchiha clan had Fugaku, a beast, as its leader, who decided not to resist. Otherwise, destroying the Uchiha clan would be just a dream for them. Just like now, after Uchiha became vigilant, Sarutobi Hiruzen immediately did not dare to move. If they really start a battle, the Uchiha will definitely be defeated, but how much will Konoha lose? Conservatively speaking, they would lose hundreds of ninjas. Will the other 4 ninja villages still just watch and not take action? The result of the civil war was that everyone died together. That's okay. Someone helped share the work, and it was too late for Funan to be happy. Fugaku, Setsuna and Soji are very experienced. If they simply carry out family defense, they will definitely be able to guard the Uchiha clan as if it were protected by a solid iron wall. And having just his say in external matters made everything more manageable. Be careful. You also know that the relationship between the village and Uchiha has become even more tense. They could attack us at any moment. Once Uchiha is careless, the other party will definitely not mind setting off a fire. Don't worry. Fugaku smiled coldly and said, however, I want to correct you. The relationship between Uchiha and the village has eased a bit, but the relationship with Sarutobi Hiruzen and others is more tense. That makes sense. In just 3 days, the Uchiha had greatly reduced their intervention in trivial matters. This surprised many villagers, who watched the Uchiha with curious looks and did not understand why they seemed lazy all of a sudden. Fugaku had a hunch that if he continued according to Funan's method, he might be able to remove Uchiha from the whirlpool of everyone's disgust. A broken bar. Hokage residence. Sarutobi Hiruzen's office. The Konoha corrupt quartet is also having an intense meeting. Leave it to me, Hiruzen. Danzo said with a cold voice, I will make Uchiha feel the pain. Hearing this, the 3rd Hokage and others first felt the pain. Danzo, why are you always so confident? You have lost 20 people. 20 jonin. Sarutobi Hiruzen said coldly, no, it's 21. There is also a Kato Funko. A jonin had a sensor. How rare they are in the village. Thinking of the sensor ninja who made many mistakes when he was looking for Uchiha Funan last time, Hiruzen Sarutobi began to have random thoughts for no reason. If it was Kato Funko, such a problem might not occur. After all, Kato Funko is a jonin, and while the sense ninja who went with him to find Funan is just a special jonin. With this thought, Hiruzen Sarutobi became increasingly dissatisfied with Danzo. Although he is the Hokage of Konoha, not everyone obeys his orders unconditionally. For example, if he now orders all the ninjas in Konoha to attack Uchiha and start a civil war, then many ninjas will have a question mark. Uchiha didn't rebel. Even though they were unpleasant, they were still companions of the same village, and they were so fierce. Why attack them so severely? You can say that Uchiha has done a lot of bad things, but Danzo seems to have done more. Today you attack the Uchiha, and tomorrow us? In this situation, loyal ninjas were vitally important. Due to Danzo's failure, the Root Jonin suffered heavy losses. Several Anbu Jonin also lost their lives, and now he wants to repeat it. Koharu said, Danzo, you also have to consider the impact. There is already a lot of discussion in the village. This matter is easy to handle. Danzo said coldly, they were just a group of spies from other villages. They saw the deputy leader of the Uchiha clan entering the Forest of Death alone, so they took action. Maybe it was to obtain information, or maybe to obtain the Sharingan. Bang! That's enough. Danzo. Sarutobi Hiruzen slammed the table and said angrily, "Do you think the ninjas in the village are fools?" 20 foreign shinobi appear in the village, causing such a stir with Funan. You, cough, cough. Hiruzen. Seeing this, both Koharu and Homura exclaimed. Although Danzo looked indifferent, he also cast a worried look. The third Hokage cannot die at this time. He was not ready to take over as Hokage. After coughing several times, the third Hokage regained his breath and gritted his teeth and said, "Danzo, stop all your actions, at least don't use force. The ninja clans are already starting to question us." "I cannot do this." Danzo refused. Without hesitation. Seeing Hiruzen's angry look, he briefly explained, "I'm not going to attack them inside the village. I just need to lure them outside the village and then take action." "That's easy for you to say." The third Hokage calmed down a bit. "Funan hasn't left the village for several years." "Damn, he's too careful. He doesn't look like a Uchiha at all." The third Hokage finally stopped hiding his hatred. "Uchiha Funan, this guy is completely different from other Uchiha." Those who are familiar with Uchiha, whenever they think of them, they will immediately think of a few words: arrogance, strength, and the supremacy of force. However, Uchiha Funan is only lustful, lazy, cautious and cruel. Whenever he had the chance, he would bite you mercilessly, and he would not tolerate a loss. Even though Danzo was the first to attack this time, they lost 20 jonin. Even so, Uchiha Funan still insisted on being assigned a sealing team. They are all chunin or higher. Furthermore, ninjas who specialize in sealing are extremely rare. Pain in the heart, headache. The tricks used to deal with Uchiha in the past are completely ineffective against Funan. TOC. There were knocks at the door. Hiruzen changed his expression again. At this time, unless there is something very important, the Anbu will never dare to disturb the meeting between them. "Come in." Yes. A teenager walked into the conference room. Uchiha Itachi. The Hokage and the others couldn't help being startled, but they quickly recovered. "Itachi, why are you here?" The Hokage smiled. Uchiha Itachi said seriously, "Hokage-sama, I want to kill Uchiha Funan." This Hokage and the others were completely stunned. Why did Uchiha Itachi show so much killing intent? Hiruzen couldn't help but ask, "Why?" "Danzo-sama is right," Uchiha Itachi said solemnly. "The existence of Uchiha Funan will only destroy the peace and stability of the village. He should not exist." Hiruzen was silent and looked at Uchiha Itachi with strange eyes. "Itachi, you are a real ninja," Danzo said slowly. "You have discovered it, right?" "Yes," Itachi said solemnly. "Because of Uchiha Funan, a civil war almost broke out in the village. Even now, there are undercurrents in the village, all because of Uchiha Funan." Danzo nodded slightly. "Very well, Itachi, for the sake of Konoha, Uchiha Funan must be eliminated." "Danzo!" the Hokage shouted and said coldly. "It was you who attacked a fellow villager without authorization, incurring Funan's wrath. I haven't held you responsible for that yet." "Hiruzen, you are always so naive," Danzo said coldly. "Uchiha Funan, even among Uchiha, is special. He has never even integrated into Uchiha, let alone the village." Faced with the performance of the two, Itachi kept his face imperturbable as he thought, "Can I say, Funan can even guess what you will say? Would it shock you too much?" "Shut up!" the third Hokage shouted coldly. Then he looked at Itachi and said in a deep voice, "Itachi, you are a ninja who has had the will of fire since you were a child, so if you can understand me, I want to ask for your forgiveness." "Hokage-sama." Itachi raised his head and looked at the old face of the third Hokage, his expression full of astonishment. "Hokage apologized to him?" The third Hokage sighed deeply and looked out the window at the prosperous village. Following his gaze, Itachi's expression changed again. Due to Danzo's unauthorized actions, there is no room for relaxation between the village and Uchiha Funan. However, he has taken over the power of Uchiha. As the Hokage, I can only... He did not say the rest. Itachi nodded heavily and said, "That is precisely my purpose here, Hokage-sama. I am from Konoha, the Uchiha are from Konoha, but Uchiha Funan, he is not. Therefore, eliminating him is inevitable. I will post some extra chapters in Patreon, You can check it out. Patreon.com/TitoVilla. Comment 8. Vote to left. Chapter 38. Chapter 38. Everything is for Konoha. The third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, looked at Uchiha Itachi with regret and a hint of guilt in his eyes. Itachi, I'm sorry. As Sarutobi Hiruzen, I really want to apologize to Uchiha Funan, but as Hokage, I must be responsible for the entire village. The Hokage is destined to put his heart on the whole village, not on any one person. This is the Hokage's responsibility. After Uchiha Funan seized power of the Uchiha clan, the conflict between the Uchiha and the village became increasingly intense. I feel it too. Itachi spoke in a deep voice. So, first, let's kill Funan so that the Uchiha return to how they were before, and then I will continue to guide them. Once the Uchiha clashes head-on with the village, the final result will be that the entire Konoha is enveloped in flames of war. Itachi's voice was firm. I definitely won't allow it. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed again. Yes, we absolutely must not allow it. Itachi, did you come here with information about Funan? Mitokado Homura asked. Itachi replied, I have 2 reports. What? The Konoha corrupt quartet's spirit lifted, including Danzo. Although the assassination attempt on Funan had failed, he would not blame Itachi for it. He clearly remembered Itachi telling him more than once that Uchiha Funan was incredibly strong, the most powerful he had ever seen. Therefore, how could he blame Itachi if the assassination attempt failed? He could only say that Funan was too strong. The first information is about the Mangekyo Sharingan. Itachi said gravely, according to my investigation, the Mangekyo Sharingan has extremely side effects. The more times it is used, the blurrier the vision becomes, eventually leading to complete blindness. In addition, the user suffers immense pain when using the Mangekyo Sharingan. Sarutobi Hiruzen and others looked at each other and nodded slightly. They were already aware of that. As disciples of Senju Tobirama, they had a deeper knowledge of the power of the Uchiha clan than the clan itself. Of course, the Mangekyo Sharingan, that terrifying forbidden force, was no exception. However, although it was news that had been known for a long time, it had a different meaning when it came out of Itachi's mouth. Undoubtedly, in the eyes of the 4 of them, Itachi was more trustworthy. Second information, Uchiha Funan is likely to leave the village for a while. The Konoha corrupt quartet immediately became nervous. Homura said, leave the village? What is he going to do? I don't know. Itachi said regretfully. He doesn't trust me, or in other words, he doesn't trust anyone. Even his direct subordinates, Yashiro and others. Uchiha Funan only forbade them from talking about it in private. The eyes of those present shone. To Danzo and the others, this information was worth more than the previous information. When the ninjas of Konoha leave the village, they must pass by the Hokage and others, and Funan can't hide it at all. Unless he wants to become a missing nin. If that were the case, it would be perfect. To the Hokage and the others, this would give them a reason to deal with him, or even the Uchiha. As for the secret of the Mangekyo Sharingan, they have known it for a long time. However, what Itachi said casually at the end contained important information. Funan was suspicious by nature and did not trust his subordinates. This means there is a lot of room for manipulation. HMPH. Danzo snorted coldly and said, a guy full of darkness, huh? Including the 3rd Hokage. Everyone couldn't help but look at Danzo. Itachi almost bit his tongue. Danzo said that people are full of darkness? Wow, that's something new. Why is everyone looking at me like that? Danzo snorted angrily. Does everyone think I'm so? HMPH. Everything I do is for Konoha. Everyone's looks became even more strange. The Hokage looked at Itachi and said gently, Itachi, on behalf of Konoha, I would like to thank you. You are a great ninja. You have made a huge sacrifice for the peace of Konoha. Thank you. Itachi felt a little overwhelmed. You are too kind. He looked at Danzo and said, it's all for Konoha. Danzo, a broken bar. Hokage, Homura and Koharu. Why do you have a bad feeling? Every time Danzo said this phrase, to justify his actions. Wow, illusions. It sure is an illusion. Itachi is loyal to the village, and he is absolutely trustworthy as the successor of the Will of Fire. When he said this, it came from his heart. You don't have to let your imagination run wild, although it feels disturbing anyway. Uchiha Itachi used the body flicker technique and left the Hokage's office. This time, Funan was not drinking tea or carrying a cage with birds but was reading the hands of a beautiful Uchiha kunoichi. Oh, if you ask me, Shiryu, your palm reading indicates wealth and greatness. Your future is to become the wife of the leader of the Uchiha clan, or even the wife of the village leader. That's amazing. The beautiful woman rolled her eyes but did not withdraw her hand. She let Funan hold her hands, allowing him to continue reading her fate. Swish! Itachi suddenly appeared. The woman took one look at him, withdrew her hand and stood behind Funan. Funan seemed full of reluctance and said, Itachi, in this situation, if it is not urgent, don't look for me, and if it is, even less so. Uchiha Itachi was obviously stunned for a moment and looked at Funan speechlessly. The woman stretched out her hand and pinched Funan tightly. Okay, Funan said with resignation. Tell me what happens. As you ordered, I just came out of the Hokage's office. Uchiha Itachi nodded to the woman, and then said to Funan, I don't understand. What don't you understand? You want to leave the village without being noticed at all. Why did you tell the Hokage specifically? Isn't this asking for trouble? A ninja who leaves the village without permission will be judged as a missing nin, depending on who he is. There are not just one or two examples like this in Konoha. Leave discreetly. How can the Hokage and the others send people to assassinate me? Funan answered. My purpose has been very simple from beginning to end, to continuously weaken the power of the Hokage faction. There was a hint of coldness in his eyes, and he said, let them come. The more they come, the better. Moths fly into the flames and will destroy themselves. And he looked at the sacred tree in the sea of consciousness. The sacred tree needs to swallow life energy in order to bear stronger fruits. Despite having killed 20 Jonin, he had not absorbed any life energy. Why? Firstly, he was worried that someone would discover that the corpses had been turned into mummies, which would lead to everyone investigating the cause. And secondly, having body parts is even more intimidating. There are so many ninjas in the ninja world, and he is not short of 20. If he wanted to feed the sacred tree, he had plenty of opportunities. Itachi was silent for a moment and said, what about the last sentence? Why should I say that sentence at the end? Everything is for Konoha. Ha ha. Funan couldn't help laughing out loud and said, tell me, how do the Hokage and the others react? I'm very intrigued. You are really twisted. Itachi smiled bitterly and said, the expressions of the Hokage and the others are, well, very strange. Yes, strange. A mix of surprise and annoyance. Funan said and then laughed out loud. This is the phrase that Danzo kept saying all day. However, whether it was himself or the third Hokage and others, they all knew that Danzo's words were just an excuse for himself. Everything is for Konoha. When did Danzo do anything for Konoha? He is simply sacrificing others for his own benefit. When the Konoha corrupt quartet hear this sentence from another person, especially a Uchiha, what will they think at that moment? Will there be shadows in their hearts? A broken bar. The ninja clan of Konoha, big and small, have been very nervous recently. At the same time, they are angry. The third Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, originally resigned the position of Hokage on his own accord. But when the fourth Hokage, Namikaze Minato, suddenly passed away, he returned to power without further objection. Nine-tailed demon fox's attack put Konoha in chaos. Someone needed to stand up and take charge of the overall situation. It's understandable that the previous Hokage took charge. But it has been several years, and the third Hokage has no intention of selecting the fifth-generation Hokage. Is there no suitable candidate? No one in Konoha reaches this level. Do you think this is a Waga cure? Fortunately, it is now a time of peace, and the aging Sarutobi Hiruzen can barely maintain the situation in Konoha. But at least he should be able to control Danzo and not let him act like a monster all day. They were getting worse, like now, aiming directly at the Uchiha. Many ninjas have noticed the bad blood between Uchiha and Konoha's top brass. It's just that, firstly, they did not have the strength to intervene, and secondly, They simply did not care about the matter because it has nothing to do with them. They were wary of the Uchiha and didn't have much regard for the current Sarutobi Hiruzen either. They prefer that the memory of the third generation be retained before the fourth generation comes to power. At that time, Sarutobi Hiruzen was worthy of the title of ninja. After so many years, one thing after another made them feel more and more disappointed with Sarutobi Hiruzen. They remained silent. They are also being patient. They thought that Sarutobi Hiruzen was already in his 60s and would definitely choose the fifth Hokage in the next few years. However, they never dreamed that all they would get in return would be repression from the Hokage. Suppress the ninja clan, restrict civilian ninjas, snatch children, and devour resources. This time, it almost ignited a civil war in the entire village. Uchiha's few small actions awakened the almost forgotten memories of the Konoha ninja clan. That is Uchiha, the strongest clan in Konoha. Uchiha Fugaku has suppressed Uchiha for so many years, and the public opinion secretly manipulated by Danzo has put Uchiha on the opposite side of the village. However, even if they are on the opposite side of the entire village, it will not diminish their strength. Just like Funan, this time it roared to the entire Konoha. Even if you think about it with your toes, it's obvious that if the Uchiha clan is cornered and a real commotion breaks out, what kind of fire will be lit in Konoha? Is it Uchiha who is causing trouble? They are more likely to believe that Danzo is causing trouble. Fugaku is quite trustworthy in this regard and will never be merciful when dealing with his clan members who cause trouble. The ninjas are getting angrier the more they think about it. In the few years after his retirement, Funan made many preparations, including recruiting dissidents from various ninja clans. Now, all these dissidents are activated, carefully drawing out the dissatisfaction of a large number of ninjas, luring them to explode bit by bit, and conveying the words of dissatisfaction to the ears of the Hokage. At this time, the Hokage and others did not dare to move. They were just complaints for now, but if they act rashly they could turn into actions soon. Even Danzo frowned when facing these large and small ninja clans. If Root's losses were less, Danzo would have dared to counterattack forcefully, but he lost many Jonin-level Root ninjas. If he wanted to do something just by relying on those few ninjas he has left, he would easily be caught and fall into passivity. I will post some extra chapters in Patreon, you can check it out. Patreon.com/TitoVilla. Comment 5 comment. Chapter 39, Chapter 39. The divide deepens. Hiruzen. Danzo's cold voice sounded. I want to add. No, I want to expand the roots. The third Hokage raised his eyebrows, as he smoked a cigarette. After a long time, he sighed deeply and said, okay, I will give the order. The logistics department will provide you with the corresponding supplies. Danzo was not surprised. He said slowly, I still need a group of ninjas to join the route. This time, the Hokage did not hesitate and asked directly, who? Danzo handed over a list of names. After reading it, the third Hokage crossed out a few names with a pen and then returned the list to Danzo. Danzo didn't care, picked up the list and left. He only left one sentence as he left, I will help you warn the Hyuga clan. Aha! Broken bar. The third Hokage sighed deeply. The route suffered a big loss this time. Of the 20 Jonin and Special Jonin, only 5 belonged to the Anbu, and all the others were from the route. The route had suffered a great blow. Faced with the constant advance of the Uchiha, the power of the route was crucial. But, thinking of that list, he couldn't help but sigh deeply. He knows Danzo's methods. How many ninjas on the list can survive? Ah! The third Hokage stood up, looked out the window at the streets of Konoha, sighed deeply, and said, why is this happening? A broken bar. After Danzo left the Hokage's office, he went directly to the Hyuga family. At the Hyuga clan, he or she was furious and almost had a head-on conflict with Danzo. But Danzo stood his ground. Although he came to the Hyuga clan alone, he threw threatening words in front of everyone and did not take the Hyuga clan seriously at all. He was sure that the Hyuga clan would not dare to resist. That's what Konoha's higher-ups thought of the Hyuga clan. They had always been like this. Hyuga clan, don't make a mistake. Otherwise, Only destruction awaits you." Danzo threw these last words and left. Looking at Danzo's back, he or she showed a cold look. Over the years, Danzo has also recruited many people from the Hyuga clan to join the route. Although the route also belongs to the Anbu, and it seems glorious, but after joining, you completely lost your dignity. This is why a large number of ninjas reject the route. A member of the Hyuga clan asked with concern, "Leader, what is going on? Why is Danzo targeting the Hyuga clan?" They had always been obedient. They had even expelled and sacrificed the leader of the family branch. "What else do you want?" The elders of the clan were also a little angry. He or she said coldly, "He hints that someone in the Hyuga clan is collaborating with the Uchiha." "That's impossible," the Hyuga clan elder exclaimed, "who would associate with those madmen?" And furthermore, the village leaders had made it clear that they wanted the Hyuga clan to lead the crackdown against the Uchiha. They weren't stupid, they could see it clearly, and they were willing to do it. One of the reasons is to gain the favor of the village's higher-ups. In addition to wanting to become the strongest clan in Konoha, both clans possessed powerful dojutsu, which is why the Hyuga clan was not willing to be suppressed by the Uchiha clan. How could their two clans that had been holding each other back for years collaborate? He or she frowned slightly and said in a low voice, "According to Danzo, it seems that I am collaborating with the Uchiha." "These are broken bar." The Hyuga clan elder was surprised and asked cautiously, "Leader, are you really collaborating with the Uchiha?" He or she looked at the Hyuga clan elder, with a mocking smile. "What's wrong, Elder? Why do you think I would collaborate with the Uchiha?" The clan elder was embarrassed, but a bit of doubt could still be seen in his eyes. "Why?" The answer was simple. Hyuga Hisashi, he or she's younger brother. As the head of the branch family, he was sacrificed by the Hyuga clan for the sake of Konoha. At that time, he or she caused a huge stir, which was quelled by the Hokage and the Hyuga clan together. Could it be that he wanted to avenge his brother? "Leader, what should we do?" the clan elder asked. "Danzo is asking us to prove ourselves. Does he want us?" He or she said indifferently, "He wants us to take the initiative to deal with the Uchiha clan." "Then what should we do?" the clan elder asked directly. He or she looked at him and said coldly, "What? Do you really want to take action against the Uchiha clan?" The clan elder said matter-of-factly, "This is an order from the top, how can we disobey it?" He or she's words were even colder. "That is the Uchiha clan." "And what?" The elder of the Hyuga clan didn't care at all. "We are a clan with one of the most powerful dojutsu. How could we be in a worse position than the Uchiha? Plus we have more than 30 jonin." "Very well said," he or she said approvingly. "In that case, how about we let the elder lead the team?" The clan elder showed a hesitant expression and frowned. "Clan leader, I am from the main family. My existence is to protect the Byakugan and promote our lineage. The branch members are the ones who should go into battle and protect the main family. That is their responsibility." "Oh really?" he or she responded nonchalantly. "It must be very hard for you to take on such a heavy task, Elder." "You." The clan elder waved his sleeves fiercely and said, "And what do you plan to do with the Uchiha?" He or she, "Don't forget that you are the head of the Hyuga clan. Everything you do must focus on the clan." He or she took a sip of tea and said calmly, "Don't worry, I am well aware of my position." Therefore, at this time, the Hyuga clan should remain calm and not provoke the Uchiha. The clan elder frowned and said, "But the higher-ups in the village." He or she said coldly, "The Uchiha clan is already giving them enough trouble. How are they going to have time to cause trouble for the Hyuga clan? Also, compared to that, what I'm most curious about is why Danzo thinks I have an alliance with the Uchiha." He or she frowned, his expression filled with confusion. Among all the leaders of the big clans in the village, he was the most dissatisfied with the Hokage and the others. Although Hyuga Hisashi had the responsibility of protecting the clan, it was still his younger brother who was sacrificed like that. "Where is the will of fire that the Hokage wrote in the ninja school textbook?" The clan elder tried to probe, "Are you really collaborating with the Uchiha?" He or she looked at him coldly. The clan elder had a stern expression and whispered, "Clan leader, I think we should still obey the village's orders. at least cause some trouble to the Uchiha clan and let the village superiors see our attitude. Otherwise, compared to the Uchiha clan, he seemed to have a greater fear towards the Hokage and the others. HMPH. Hiroshi snorted coldly and said, "We don't know what the current strength of the Uchiha clan is. If we act recklessly, do you really think those red eyes are easy to bully? Are Uchiha easy to deal with? Crap. If it were that easy, Danzo would have already taken action." The darkness of the shinobi doesn't understand what it means to be merciful. Oh wait. That's already happened. They simply failed and were harshly counterattacked. Danzo came to visit him, probably because of this. Therefore, the orders of Konoha's leaders meant nothing to Hiroshi. Back to the original question again, why do people like Danzo think that he is collaborating with Uchiha? Hiroshi instinctively felt that there was something strange. Looking at the clan elder who wanted to say something else, Hiroshi sighed. "Elder, let me tell you the truth. The Hyuga clan not only cannot be enemies of Uchiha, but to some extent, they must also support Uchiha." "Why?" The clan elder was dumbfounded. "Are you trying to go against the village?" Hiroshi spoke in a low voice. "Do you think, if Uchiha falls, who will be the village's next target?" "The Hyuga clan." The clan elder responded immediately, but then broke out in cold sweat. "No way. They would attack the Hyuga clan." A broken bar. Hiroshi said, "Of all the clans in the village, which one has more than 30 jonin?" "Only the Hyuga and the Uchiha." "That fact alone is enough to make them distrust us." "So, we can't touch Uchiha, but we have to help each other secretly, so that the other party can continue to be in front and face the Hokage and others." Watching the clan elder silently, Hiroshi said, "I know what you mean. That the Hokage and the others wouldn't do something like that. But I will also tell you that I am the leader of the Hyuga clan, and I must consider all possibilities. There is no room to take risks, so maintaining the status quo is best." "All right." The clan elder was persuaded. Seeing this, Hiroshi breathed a sigh of relief, but secretly complained in his mind. Could the Hyuga clan compete with the Uchiha? That someone believed those words. Devils. Is it a pig perhaps? If the Uchiha take out 15 jonin, that would be enough to take down the 30-odd jonin of the Hyuga clan. Especially in terms of elite forces. In the entire Hyuga clan, there are few elite jonin, including Hiroshi. Hisashi, who was sacrificed, was one of the few high-level fighters in the clan. As for cage-level shinobi, that was many years ago. On the other hand, in the Uchiha clan, Fugaku and Funan are probably all page level. During the chaos earlier, Hiroshi had briefly used his Byakugan to secretly watch them, and what he saw left him amazed. There are also Uchiha Yashiro and others, who are proper elite jonin. This is the ninja clan that Konoha's top leaders need to be afraid of. As for the Hyuga clan, However, if I really reveal that I want to cooperate with the Uchiha clan, will you be anxious, Sarutobi Hiruzen? You are forcing me to do this. Who makes Shimura Danzo come to be an eyesore in the Hyuga clan? Hiroshi's eyes flashed with a hint of coldness. A broken bar. Bang. Yamanaka Inoichi hit the table hard, shattering it instantly. Everything on the table fell to the floor, creating a mess. Nara Shikaku said with evident agony in his voice, "That was an excellent tea I bought in the land of tea." Inoichi looked at him sternly and said angrily, "Are you still thinking about that tea at a time like this?" Shikaku drank his tea calmly and replied, "This is something I've thought about for a while." Everything was happening exactly as Shikaku had anticipated. Just now, a list had been sent to them from the root ordering all the people on that list to report immediately. If they asked for just a few people, Inoshikacho wouldn't say anything. This is to be expected. After all, the route losses are huge, and Danzo is in urgent need of personnel replacement. At this time, it was also not possible for the Hokage to abandon the route. However, that list is really too long. Inoichi couldn't help but lose his composure. "Stop talking nonsense," Inoichi said coldly. "It's fine for both of your clans. But my Yamanaka clan is Danzo's main recruiting target. Look at this list. From the juniors to the adults, he doesn't intend to leave anyone. Why don't he take me too? Or better yet, why don't I take the entire Yamanaka clan to the root and let Danzo become the leader of the Yamanaka clan?" Shikaku sneered, Danzo is very picky and won't accept ordinary people. Akimaki Choza glanced at the list and shook his head. It's really excessive. If we send the people on the list to the root, the Yamanaka clan will suffer a huge blow and will not recover for decades. Shikaku, this won't work. I know, Shikaku said calmly. Let us reject this. Let us sign on behalf of the Inoshikacho clans. In other words, if people from the Inoshikacho clans are needed, there will not be any. If money is required, not a single yo will be given. Good. They both seemed more confident. They all know what this means. The Inoshikacho clans had a gap with the third Hokage. This time, the gap will continue to widen. The two of them couldn't help but feel a little worried. At a time when the conflict between the Hokage faction and the Uchiha is likely to break out, Inoshikacho's behavior is equivalent to a backstab. If the Uchiha clan is destroyed, the Inoshikacho clans will definitely be punished. They might even be eliminated before the Uchiha were eliminated. Shikaku noticed the concerns of both of them, smiled slightly and said, "Don't worry, this time, Inoshikacho are not the only clans that will reject Danzo. I will post some extra chapters in Patreon, you can check it out. Patreon.com/TitoVilla. Comment 9 Comment. Vote to Left Chapter 40. Chapter 40, Danzo's Crazy Criteria. Who is Nara Shikaku? Konoha's greatest genius. The renowned strategist throughout the ninja world. If he has made a decision, then he will surely make it his main action. The power of the Inoshikacho clans is not enough to worry the Hokage and the others. So, they decided to bring a few more families. In Konoha, there are a lot of clans affected by Danzo's actions, that even with your eyes closed you can still find them. In fact, given the current circumstances in Konoha, the power of the Inoshikacho clans is more than enough to give the Hokage a headache. The Aburame clan. Nara Shikaku took Choza and Inoichi to pay a public visit to the Aburame clan and was warmly welcomed by Aburame Shibi, although it was difficult to tell from their expressions, except for the Jonin who were on some mission. The remaining Jonin of the Aburame clan came out to greet them. This action was enough to show that the other party valued them. It seems that the Aburame clan has also made a decision. Nara Shikaku has a smile on his face. He originally wanted to come alone, but unexpectedly, Aburame Shibi expressed his hope that the Inoshikacho clans would enter the Aburame clan through the main gate in an open and honest manner. At this, Nara Shikaku was overjoyed. He knew that this was the other party's response. Although Aburame Shibi's expression was expressionless, he handed Nara Shikaku a list. After reading it, Shikaku's brows twitched wildly, and his face twitched. Good guy. Danzo is just a good guy. Inoichi and Choza also received the list that Danzo gave to the Aburame clan. From the Akimaki clan, Danzo wanted only a few people. From the Nara clan, Danzo loved several of the members with great intellect. From the Yamanaka clan, he practically wanted a group of every age range, from teenagers, young people to middle-aged people. Who makes Danzo really like shinobi who play with minds? Shikaku thought that the Yamanaka clan case was the most truthless example, but after seeing Aburame Shibi's list, Shikaku truly understood that Danzo has no limit to how ruthless he can be. The first name on the list, Aburame Shibi. Damn, he's taking the clan leader. The following names are all Jonin of the Aburame clan. So, are they restructuring the entire Aburame clan so they can merge with the root? Danzo, is he crazy? Inoichi saw it too and was speechless for a while. He thought, it turns out there are people worse off than me. What did I say before? Yes. He wanted to resign as clan leader and have Danzo lead the Yamanaka clan. Look, on the side of the Aburame clan, it almost came true. In an instant, Inoichi felt comfortable. No wonder the Aburame clan allowed the Inoshikacho clans to enter through the main gate. No one could hold back in this situation. What is the reason why these ninjas are based in Konoha? The family can thrive and develop in a peaceful environment. What does Danzo want to do? Do you really treat them as tools? Aburame Shibi's calm voice sounded. Is he crazy? I don't know. I was close to being crazy. Choza couldn't help but cough repeatedly. Danzo is truly a talent to be able to force the pride of Aburame Shibi, to reach this point. Aburame Shibi is no ordinary shinobi. He is an exceptional ninja in ninjutsu, taijutsu and genjutsu, as well as having a clear and calm mind in critical situations. He has almost no weak points. He is considered a perfect ninja by many jonin, and his position in Konoha is extremely high. He has completed more S-rank missions than Shikaku, Choza, and Inoichi combined. If it weren't for his personality, he would be more famous than Kakashi Hatake. Nara Shikaku took a deep breath and said slowly, "It seems that our choice is not wrong at all." Danzo has gone crazy. Abiram Shibi nodded slowly and said, "With the cooperation of the Abiram clan along with the Inoshikacho clans, Danzo will not dare to make reckless decisions. It's not just 4 clans, it's 5. Nara Shikaku smiled slightly and said, "The Inuzuka clan also agreed to join our big family." "Shibi, what do you think?" Abiram Shibi's fingers trembled slightly. Even though he was wearing sunglasses, Nara Shikaku could still feel the sharp gaze. Just like the Inoshikacho clans, the relationship between the Abiram clan and the Inuzuka clan is also very good. Although Shibi joined this alliance, he had secret connections with the Inuzuka clan, using them as an ace up his sleeve, a form of mutual protection. Now, Nara Shikaku has made everything clear. Although I don't know what Nara Shikaku relied on to persuade Inuzuka, it was obvious that special means were used to make the other party break the agreement with Abiram Shibi. "All right." After a brief silence, Abiram Shibi said calmly, "The power of 5 first-class shinobi clans is enough to make the Hokage retreat, but Shikaku, tell me your true purpose. If you say you just want to protect yourself, I won't believe it." Shikaku said jokingly, "If I said that I wanted to be Hokage, would you believe it?" "I believe it." Abiram Shibi said calmly, "But you are not worthy of the title." Shikaku's face stiffened slightly, then he smiled and said, "Okay, let's be honest. I am going to choose a new Hokage, the 5th Hokage. The 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen is already old." "The 5th Hokage?" Abiram Shibi nodded slightly and said, "Who is your candidate?" Choza and Inoichi also cast curious glances. They knew that Nara Shikaku was planning to nominate a new Hokage, but they didn't know who it would be. Shikaku smiled slightly and turned his gaze to the burly man next to him. "I?" Akimaki Choza pointed at his nose, his eyes full of astonishment. "Am I the Hokage?" "Are you dreaming?" Nara Shikaku rolled his eyes and said, "I'm talking about Torafu-sama." "Torafu?" Everyone was perplexed. Torafu from the Akimaki clan? This is really an unexpected name. They thought Nara Shikaku would choose Jiraiya or Tsunade. "What's happening?" Nara Shikaku said with a smile. "Do you think Torafu-sama is not qualified?" Choza and Inoichi were silent. Naturally, they were in complete agreement. The fact that someone from the Inoshikacho clans became Hokage was beneficial for all 3 clans. The tradition of the Hokage lineage monopolizing the position of Hokage seemed to be maintained, but in fact it was interrupted. "But, will Abiram Shibi agree?" The Abiram clan and the Inuzuka clan have a good relationship, with Abiram Shibi being the dominant one. If he gave his approval, the union of the 5 clans would be feasible. After all, Akimaki Torafu is also a disciple of the 2nd Hokage. Additionally, he has connections with Hiruzen Sarutobi and Danzo. They are from the same generation. Although he is slightly younger than Hiruzen Sarutobi, due to the Akimaki clan's secret techniques, he has maintained his strength until now, and although he is not exceptionally powerful, he is still among Konoha's top 10. Konoha is not Kumogakure. The Hokage does not need to be the strongest in Konoha. In terms of reputation, Akimaki Torafu is barely qualified. Impossible. Abiram Shibi thought for a moment and said without hesitation, "Torafu-sama is indeed qualified to be Hokage, but he is too old." The peak of a ninja is maintained between the age of 40 and 45. And then begins to decline. Even though the Akimaki clan's secret techniques slow that decline, Torafu is close to 60 now and his combat ability should be declining. If he becomes the 5th Hokage, how many years will he be able to do so? 3 to 5 years later, the Hokage will be replaced again, and Konoha will suffer another impact. Abiram Shibi looked at Nara Shikaku strangely. He can think of all this, but Konoha's military advisor can't think of it. "Well, what you said makes sense." Nara Shikaku smiled slightly and said, "So, I changed my mind and recommended Jiraiya or Tsunade, but before that, Torafu-sama became the acting Hokage. How about it? The acting Hokage? Hearing this, the people present were startled again. Abiram Shibi said calmly, Shikaku, is this your purpose? Nara Shikaku smiled slightly and said, when Torafu-sama becomes the acting Hokage, we will send someone to find Tsunade or Jiraiya, so they can return and take over the true position as the fifth Hokage. Alright. Abiram Shibi agreed decisively after thinking for a while. Nara Shikaku was not surprised and said with a smile, it will be a pleasure to work together. A pleasure to work together. Becoming Hokage immediately, with the base of the Inoshikacho clans and Akimaki Torafu's age, was absolutely impossible, unless Torafu was 20 years younger. Therefore, becoming the acting Hokage first would make it easier for other clans in Konoha to accept. As for Tsunade and Jiraiya, whether or not they returned to take over as Hokage, that was their business. Meanwhile, Akimaki Torafu would be in charge of Konoha temporarily. During this period, Nara Shikaku would have much more power to act. At least, the future fifth-generation Hokage will have his shadow by his side. This is his real purpose. The Abiram clan and the Inuzuka clan really don't want much, and they don't need to rely on the fifth Hokage. With Nara Shikaku's current status, he can help them complete it. A broken bar. What did you say? The third Hokage looked at Uchiha Funan in astonishment. You have accepted a mission and want to leave the village? Seeing Hiruzen's performance, Funan complained in his mind, what the hell, that expression is so authentic that I give you 99 points. She seems so authentic that I started to doubt Itachi. It's no surprise that in the Naruto series you can trick Itachi until he's lame. You were able to trick Danzo into working for you for decades. I am still too young, and sometimes my expressions cannot be so vivid, role-playing, and a bit exaggerated. Sarutobi Hiruzen, that's the role model to learn from. He fully explained what hypocrisy is. What does it mean to be shameless? I am still too serious. Then Funan started his own show using what he learned from Hiruzen. Although I am the vice leader of the Uchiha clan and the captain of the Konoha police force, I am a Konoha ninja. Doing the missions that need to be done, not forgetting to serve Konoha, is what every Konoha ninja must do, without exception. What do you think? How was it? Did my words move your feelings? So, Hokage-sama, I will definitely complete this task seriously and not embarrass Konoha. Hiruzen looked at Funan, who had a serious look on his face, and then looked at the D-level mission he had accepted. Sarutobi Hiruzen wanted to ask, can you even cover the travel expenses with the reward? Although we have competed openly, still, you don't have to be so careless. After a moment of silence, he still said, Funan, having a ninja like you in Konoha is a blessing to this village. I'm proud of you. Damn, you can keep acting like this, you're really good. Okay, let's see who can't hold on first. Funan stood at attention and roared, I will serve the village. Sarutobi Hiruzen gritted his teeth, determined not to admit defeat, and seemed to want to say something else. Boom. A ninja broke through the door and rushed in. What's up? Sarutobi Hiruzen's brows frowned instantly. Can the Anbu people be so eager to make the Uchiha rebel? He glanced at Funan without leaving any trace. Chakra had already begun to flow in his body, and he could launch powerful ninjutsu at any time. Who knows? Funan also looked stunned and alert, and said, what's going on? Hokage-sama is here. Could it be that Danzo is dead? Have other shinobi villages come to attack Konoha? Hearing Funan's comments, Hiruzen scolded him in his mind. What the hell? I understand what you mean. You dream about Danzo and me being dead. The third Hokage had no expression on his face. He looked at the Anbu and said, what's going on? The Anbu came to the Hokage, leaned over and whispered a few words in his ear. In an instant, the third Hokage's body trembled. Funan looked at it with a question mark on his head. What's going on? The Hokage seems to be very angry. Have you encountered anything unhappy? Hurry up and say it to make me happy. Chapter 41, Danzo's List of Lies and Lost Roots. Cough. The Hokage coughed twice, looked at Funan and said, Funan, you still have something to do. Go and do your work first. Funan immediately said, it's okay, Hokage-sama, I'm not in a hurry. If you have something urgent, Please take care of it first, I'll be waiting. After the Hokage scolded Funan in his mind, he took a deep breath and then looked at him coldly and said, "Go and come back quickly, Funan. A shinobi as talented as you should be careful outside. It's not safe outside the village now." "All right." Funan looked at the Anbu reluctantly, making him shiver. Although the Hokage frowned, but in the end he didn't say anything. What this Anbu said cannot be hidden at all. The other party will know it sooner or later, just don't know it in front of him. They couldn't afford to lose that person. Furthermore, if Funan finds out, there will be waves again. Damn it, why didn't he leave the village earlier? Danzo. After Funan left, the third Hokage said that word through gritted teeth. He didn't even have to think about it to know that Danzo had done something again. Otherwise, the Hyuga clan, the Inoshikacho clans, the Abiram clan, and the Inuzuka clan would not have such a big reaction. That damn thing, what on earth did he do? Hiruzen scolded in his mind. "Go, call Danzo over immediately." Sarutobi Hiruzen let out a roar that shook the sky. The Anbu were so frightened that they trembled and hurriedly used the body flicker technique to leave. At this time, Danzo had already received the responses from the Inoshikacho, Inuzuka, and Abiram clans. The letter firmly rejected his recruitment request and was accompanied by the signatures of all 5 clans. The threat is self-evident. Danzo was so angry that he tore the letter into pieces on the spot. Danzo with a fierce look said, "Damn, these selfish guys. They are not worthy of being shinobi at all. They don't have the sacrificial spirit of shinobi. If Konoha trusts them, it will be destroyed." He raised his head and looked at the shinobi in front of him. At this moment, there were quite a few shinobi gathered around Danzo, 40 in total. "It's a pity that there are only 3 jonin, and the others are all chunin." That was all the strength left in the root. Too little. Danzo was impatient. In the past, Hiruzen has always restricted the development of the root. He worked secretly for several years before he had nearly 20 jonin. He was about to put his plans into motion when he encountered Funan, and his group was directly wiped out. Uchiha Funan. Danzo gritted his teeth, wishing he could bite Funan alive to death. Now that the 5 clans have united, thwarting their recruitment plan, he was anxious. Swish, an Anbu appeared in front of him. "Danzo-sama, Hokage-sama is waiting for you in the office." "Hiruzen is looking for me?" Danzo's heart moved. Just in time, since the 5 clans have rejected him, he will now look for a way to get some people from Sarutobi Hiruzen. Immediately, Danzo arrived at the Hokage's office, his staff clanging along his path. "What the hell have you done?" Danzo had just approached the office when he was greeted by a roar. It was so sudden that it almost made him drop his crutches. "Hiruzen, what are you doing?" Danzo looked annoyed. "What am I doing?" "That's what I want to ask you." The third Hokage pointed at Danzo and shouted angrily, "Tell me, what did you do to those 5 clans to arouse so much resistance in them?" "What can I do?" Danzo said coldly. "I just wanted to recruit some members of their clans. Didn't I show you the list?" "That's it?" The third Hokage looked suspicious. "What else can I do?" Danzo continued to say coldly, "Hiruzen, let me tell you, these disobedient clans, we must suppress them forcefully and let them know the consequences of resistance." "Absurd." The third Hokage categorically rejected Danzo's proposal. Dealing with a shinobi clan like the Uchiha, who everyone dislikes, has already caused the entire village to be shocked. Do you still want to deal with the Inoshikacho clans and the others? You're thinking too highly of yourself, especially since those particular shinobi clans enjoy a good reputation within the village. Thinking of this, the Hokage became more impatient. The Inoshikacho clans were not like other shinobi clans. They were not only very influential, but also fervent followers of the Hokage. How could they choose to be against the Hokage at such a critical time? Seeing this, other shinobi clans might wonder, what's wrong with the Hokage? Why have the Inoshikacho clans betrayed him? This would raise doubts about the Hokage. It was a tremendous blow for the Hokage. He was walking back and forth in the office. The Uchiha were probably very happy right now. It wouldn't be strange. After all, the division of the Inoshikacho clans with the Hokage faction was like the prelude to the fall of the castle. Now, Hiruzen's main concern was not how to deal with the Uchiha but stabilizing his own position. Suddenly, the Hokage stopped, looked at Danzo coldly and said, "Danzo, are the people you want from the Inoshikacho clans really just those on the list you showed me?" Danzo said decisively, "Correct." "You bastard!" the Hokage shouted angrily, pointed at Danzo's nose, and shouted, "Danzo, I know you too well, you're lying." "Get it out. Get the real list out." Hiruzen, a broken bar in the name of the Hokage, "I order you to take it out immediately." Danzo moved his lips several times and, under the Hokage's indifferent gaze, handed over the real list. Unsurprisingly, after seeing it, the Hokage was dazzled and almost fainted. In the original list, there were only a few people from the Inoshikacho clans, and the three clans combined did not exceed 10 people. The Hokage did some calculations, and as his staunch supporter, Naruto should be able to agree to do him this favor, so he agreed. For this reason, he also deliberately crossed out several more sensitive names. But what about Danzo's real list? In total, the number of members of the Inoshikacho clans exceeded 50, and the weakest were all Chunin. Hokage is in tears after reading this list. How many Jonin and Chunin would the Inoshikacho clans have left in total? Danzo had practically taken the entire elite from them. "Danzo, you should simply become the Hokage. You're also taking away the leader of the Abiram clan." "Danzo, you are a ruthless person." The Hokage, with his lips trembling, looked at Danzo and said, "What are you thinking? Do you have any enmity with me?" "What the hell, Danzo, tell the truth. When did you betray me and join the Uchiha side? Do you dare to say that Inoshikacho and the other clans were not forced by you to change sides?" Naruto still has a very good temperament. "If it were me, she would have come and punched you in the eye." Danzo's voice was low, but extremely determined, and said, "Hiruzen, everything I do is for Konoha." Hokage sat helplessly at his desk, his expression a little dull. "For Konoha again?" "Let me thank you on behalf of Konoha." "I thank your mother." "Shimura Danzo, why are you so good?" "As a Hokage, I feel ashamed around you." After a long time, Hiruzen said in a hoarse voice, "You will be relieved of all your duties, Danzo. From today on, you will stay at home and think about your mistakes." "Hiruzen," Danzo said angrily, "you can't treat me like that." "Also, what about the route? What are you going to do with it?" The route was subordinate to the Anbu but was now completely independent and had become a massive entity that no one could ignore. Now, it was in the process of reorganization and strengthening. Without Danzo, what would happen to the route? Hiruzen said calmly, "I'll let Koharu and Homura lead the route." "Those two?" Danzo laughed angrily. "Hiruzen, have you gone crazy? They will ruin the route." Danzo always ignored those two losers. He didn't even bother to belittle them. "That's better than Konoha being destroyed by you." Danzo opened his eyes wide. "What did you say?" The Hokage said coldly, "Danzo, due to your reckless actions, the route has lost many talented ninjas. Furthermore, you have created rifts between the Hyuga, Inoshikacho, Abiram, and Uzuka clans, and the Hokage faction. That's all you've done, isn't that destroying Konoha?" "Ha ha." Danzo couldn't help but laugh out loud and growled, "Now, all the mistakes are because of me, right?" "It is not like this." "Yes, you are correct, Hiruzen." Danzo nodded slightly, looked deeply at the third Hokage, and said, "What the Hokage said is correct. Didn't Hiruzen know everything he had done?" "Of course he knows. He also gave a lot of help, including assassinating Funan. Now that things are out of control, everything becomes my responsibility." Danzo complained in her mind. "It's all because I'm not the Hokage." "If I were the Hokage." Danzo turned around and walked out of the Hokage's office. When he saw the oncoming person, he paused slightly and showed a weird smile. "Danzo-sama." When the visitor saw Danzo, he quickly lowered his head. Danzo was about to speak when the Hokage's voice came from the office behind him. "Shizui, come in." "Yes." Uchiha Shizui hurriedly walked into the office. Danzo looked at Shizui's back thoughtfully, then turned and left. "Hokage-sama." Uchiha Shizui knelt on one knee in front of the Hokage and looked at the Hokage with respect. Suddenly, his expression changed slightly, and he said, "Hokage-sama, you." To his eyes, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked tired, his face was pale, and his wrinkles were deeper than the last time he saw him a week ago. Compared to then, he looked 10 years older. What's wrong? The third Hokage smiled slightly. You don't recognize me anymore? No, it's just. Shisui lowered his head. His voice was extremely low, a little sad. You are such a good boy, Shisui. The third Hokage rubbed his brows, sighed softly, and said, too many things have happened recently, alas. Shisui slowly clenched his fists and said, all these things that happened are because of Uchiha and are our fault. Yes, the Hokage said directly, everything that happened was the fault of the Uchiha clan, but can only the Uchiha be blamed for all this? Danzo is to blame, and I am also to blame. How can we blame you? Because I am the Hokage. That is the Hokage's responsibility. Sarutobi Hiruzen said that sentence with a firm expression. Looking at Sarutobi Hiruzen like this, Shisui closed his eyes and said slowly, we will not blame you, Hokage-sama. All of this is ultimately due to Uchiha Funan. Hokage-sama, I will kill him with my own hands. A broken barrow, is there such a thing? Funan was happy, and he looked at the people in front of him and said, the Inoshikacho clans, are they actually causing trouble right now? And did they also involve the Abaramen and Inuzuka clans? Tetsui said in a deep voice, this is a good opportunity, should we do something? No, we won't do anything. Funan said directly without hesitation, we will proceed as planned and ignore them. Uchiha Shiryu frowned and said, what about the Inoshikacho clans? Don't you care about them? Why should they matter to me? Funan said nonchalantly, we originally considered the Inoshikacho clans as enemies, but now, they have chosen another path. They can join us, which only benefits us. Worst case scenario, they'll just go back to the way they were before. Shiryu said in an unhappy tone, are you going out at a time like this? Correct. Funan lifted Shiryu's chin gently, and said smilingly, I said it, the original plan does not change, no one is allowed to have objections. Tetsui and others looked at each other and nodded, yes. Yashiro sighed at the side and said, this is really a good opportunity. If we can take advantage of it. There are plenty of opportunities. Funan directly interrupted Yashiro's words and said, it is better to proceed steadily. The Uchiha clan cannot afford any mistakes now. No one is sure whether the incident with the Inoshikacho clans is a trap. Understood. Where is the news I asked you to find out? Here. Yashiro handed over a scroll and said curiously, sir, the evil god sect is just a small evil sect. Why are you interested in them? I will post some extra chapters in Patreon. You can check it out. Patreon.com/TitoVilla, comment 6 comment. Vote to left Chapter 42, Chapter 42, Uchiha Dynamics You Don't Understand. Funan looked at the scroll, chuckled, and said, there may be an opportunity for me to become stronger. The immortal body of the evil god cult. Would devouring it change my sacred tree? Also, I should go to the land of grass. I remember that there is a member of the Uzumaki clan there whose vital energy should satisfy the sacred tree. She alone could heal at least 10 or 8 jonin and might even have unexpected surprises. Sir, do you need us to go with you? Tetsui said in a deep voice, when I come out this time, Danzo and the others. This is also the purpose, isn't it? Funan said with a smile. I hope they will send people to hunt me down. The more the better. Funan turned his gaze towards the Hokage Rock. The opponent's energy has not been exhausted yet. Although the Inoshikacho clans began to oppose the Hokage and the senior leadership, that did not mean that Konoha could tolerate the Uchiha clan becoming stronger. If it were just an individual battle between the Uchiha clan and the Hokage, Funan would not pay attention to the clans that the Konoha corrupt quartet belonged to. Even if they had the Sarutobi clan's army of 3,000 shinobi. The Forsuzu, leading a large number of Uchiha shinobi, will rampage and become invincible. Especially with Funan's Mangekyo technique, which is perfect for group battles. Funan covered one of his eyes. However, there are more than 10,000 shinobi in Konoha. Funan is not a high-level person in the village. He doesn't know the specific number of shinobi that Konoha can pull out. It is at least 20,000, and the possibility of 30,000 is very high. After all, It was a shinobi village that faced 4-on-1 attacks several times and had recovered for several years. The title of the strongest shinobi village is well deserved. There are a lot of powerful shinobi among them, and elite jonin like Abiram Shibi. Even Funan will feel a headache when facing them. He still has to figure it out slowly. Bang! At this time, the door of the office was opened, and Fugaku walked in, and said, "Funan, this expense of supplies." Fugaku was startled and looked at the 8 people in the office blankly. "Tetsui and Komi are here." "I won't say anything." "The question is, why are you here?" Uchiha Noboru, the Dove faction elder who publicly questioned Funan at the clan meeting and was punished by Funan. He was appointed captain of the Konoha police force. The police force team's tasks were different from the Dove faction's philosophy. Although Funan had ordered the Uchiha to stay out of trouble, they couldn't ignore everything. No matter what happens, under Danzo's long-term management, the villagers will hate them. Furthermore, many people believe that once Uchiha Noboru joins the police force, Funan will definitely take care of him. "Who knows?" Fugaku said with a playful smile. "Elder Noboru, why are you here?" Uchiha Noboru, however, had a calm expression on his face and said, "I am the captain of the Konoha police force. I am reporting to the minister on my mission." "Isn't this normal?" Fugaku snorted and looked directly at Funan. It turns out that Uchiha Noboru has long been loyal to Funan. Mission report. Really? What a nonsense. Look at who are the people gathered in Funan's office now. All of them are core members of Funan's staff. Looking at Funan with a smile on his face, Fugaku murmured in his heart. How much power does this boy hide? Moreover, he hid it deeper than he thought. "Clan leader, is there anything I can help you with?" Funan smiled slightly. The situation in Konoha was becoming clearer and more tense. It was necessary for him to expose more power and prove his dominance over Uchiha, lest anyone have inappropriate thoughts. So, with Funan's strength, even though he noticed Fugaku's approach, he still ignored him. "Just want you to see it." Fugaku came to his senses and calmly approached, saying, "Does this expense have your signature? Isn't the amount excessive?" Uchiha Funan, although he serves as deputy leader of the Uchiha clan and head of the Konoha police force, is also now the representative of the largest faction of the Uchiha clan. Uchiha Fugaku, still the leader of the clan, also possessed considerable power. There were many decisions that could not be made without his consent. Of course, Funan didn't want to avoid him. Uchiha Fugaku turns just 40 this year and is at the peak of his power as a shinobi. Even without using the Mangekyo, his strength has reached the cage level. With the Mangekyo, he can definitely beat the current Sarutobi Hiruzen. With such an important combat power, Funan naturally wanted to win over him. He covered his left eye. He also had the confidence to win over the other party. "Yes." Funan glanced at the report Fugaku threw over and said, "This is what I signed." Fugaku frowned and said, "Funan, you want to improve the quality of life of the Uchiha and improve the strength of the shinobi of the Uchiha clan. I can understand this, but you can't waste time. This massive movement of resources may be effective in the short term, but what happens afterward?" "Oh, the clan leader really thinks about the future." "It's funny." A mocking voice sounded. "You never thought about how the Uchiha clan fell to this level, and whose fault is it?" Fugaku's face darkened as he directed his cold gaze towards the source of the voice. Uchiha Shin, a renowned jonin and loyal follower of Funan, was one of the first Uchiha to join him. Facing Fugaku's gaze, Shin did not back away at all and looked back at him with even colder eyes. "You're worried now. Why weren't you before?" Shin said coldly. "If it weren't for the clan's relocation, how would the Uchiha clan have gotten to this point?" After the Night of the Nine Tails, the Uchiha clan was not only forced to abandon its original territory, but also lost a large part of its industries. Originally the two richest shinobi clans in Konoha were the Senju and the Uchiha. Now, the Senju had practically disappeared, leaving only a few plots of land. The Uchiha clan's industry had also suffered serious damage and could only maintain the clan's internal operation with difficulty. Where did those industries go? It was divided up by people from the Hokage faction. Every time he thinks of this, The radical Uchiha Shin is driven crazy with hatred. He is also the person most hostile to Uchiha Fugaku. At that moment, he claimed that he would fight to the death with the village. Even if all the Uchiha were killed, they could not leave their original territory. In the end, he was arrested on Fugaku's orders. He didn't know that if Funan hadn't appeared, the Uchiha clan would have been exterminated, and the treasured ninjutsu would also be added to the Sarutobi clan. Funan, your subordinates are quite undisciplined, Fugaku said coldly. Do you need me to help you teach them? Ha ha. Uchiha Shin sneered disdainfully and said, teach me? Just you? Uchiha Shin's violent chakra erupted, crashing heavily into Fugaku. Bang! Fugaku was hit and took a step back. You, elite Jonin? Fugaku blurted out. He looked at the others in shock. They all looked normal. An incredible thought appeared in Fugaku's mind. A broken bar. Could it be that these 7 people are all elite Jonin? This thought made Fugaku feel dizzy. What the hell, are you kidding me? There are probably more than 300 Jonin in Konoha. Counting those Jonin hidden by the shinobi clans, there are definitely less than 30 elite Jonin among them. Most are leaders of the various shinobi clans, and many leaders of the smaller shinobi clans are not elite Jonin. Although elite Jonin and Jonin belong to the same level, there is a big difference in power. If elite Jonin have enough information, they can even defeat a cage-level shinobi. In the 5 great shinobi villages, the position of elite Jonin is extraordinary. Simply put, you don't know which of the elite Jonin is actually cage level. It's enough. Funan scolded Shin, then said, you must not be disrespectful to the clan leader. Yes. Shin also immediately restrained his breath and stayed aside. Fugaku looked at the shinobi present one by one, and finally stared at Funan. Are they all elite Jonin? Correct. Funan did not hide it and said, in my hands, I only have these 7. Does it still seem too little to you? Fugaku smiled bitterly. Right now, he wasn't angry at Shin's disrespect, he was simply happy. Although Uchiha Setsuna and Uchiha Soji are older and their strength has declined, they still have the strength of elite Jonin. Not to mention Uchiha Fugaku, and besides, Kuroko next to him was also close to that level. Itachi, Shizuya broken bar. Are there really that many elite Jonin in the Uchiha clan? Fugaku breathed heavily and said, Funan, you did very well. As the leader of the clan, there is nothing that makes him happier than seeing his family prosper. As for the family not being under his leadership, a broken bar, he is the leader now. That's enough. What made him even more happy, and even a little chilling, was that Funan always remained calm. This is really weird. To have such great power in his hands and still keep a low profile, a calm mind, overwhelming power, massive influence. These 3 points are enough for Funan to become the clan leader. How did he achieve that? Although he was extremely curious, Fugaku did not ask. What shinobi doesn't have some secrets, especially those with a bad temper? They have even more secrets. The more elite Jonin, the better. Funan smiled slightly and said, as for the supplies this time, don't worry, clan leader, I have a way to get the supplies. Fugaku looked at the elite Jonin present, then nodded and said, okay, I won't say much more. I will continue to be responsible for the safety of the family, and I will leave the outside to you. The distribution of power in the Uchiha clan is now gradually becoming clearer. Funan is responsible for foreign affairs and controls the Konoha police force. Fugaku is responsible for the internal affairs and controls Uchiha's patrols, secret sentries and barriers. Setsuna and Soji assisted Fugaku and also planned to check and balance each other. The division of rights has determined that Funan will become the leader of the Uchiha clan in the near future. If Fugaku wants to save the last bit of dignity, he must obediently cooperate with Funan and complete the transition. Uchiha Shin snorted coldly and said, I'll take that as sensible. Funan rolled his eyes at him and said, don't overdo it. In a real fight, the two of you couldn't beat him. Uchiha Noboru was also surprised and said, is he so strong? Nonsense. Funan said angrily, even if he doesn't use the Mangekyou's forbidden power, he has cage-level power. Once he desperately uses Suzu, Sarutobi Hiruzen will probably only be able to jump in front of him like a monkey. The faces of those present changed slightly. Ever since their strength continued to increase with the help of Funan, They really looked down upon Fugaku. In other words, there are very few people in Konoha who deserve their attention. This is classic Uchiha nature. In Funan's words, it is necessary to hit them frequently. Of course, an elite jonin, or an elite jonin of the Uchiha clan, is heavy no matter where you put it. The reason why Shin and others misunderstood Fugaku's strength was related to Funan. They have witnessed the fight between Fugaku and Funan and feel that Fugaku is not particularly strong. They think that if it were them, the result would not be very different. Funan said seriously, "The last battle between the clan leader and I was not serious because we are both famous shinobi in the shinobi world. After testing the opponent's strength, in order to avoid a prolonged fight, we have to use one or two trump cards, and that is the Mangekyo. Since we both have the Mangekyo, there is no need to continue the fight. We are both Uchiha. We are not facing Sarutobi Hiruzen and the others." Uchiha Noboru smiled and said, "Of course, there is another most important reason. Fugaku understands that he cannot defeat the minister." Funan was not modest and said, "This is also the truth." But his eyes narrowed slightly. Just as Fugaku did not know his Mangekyo Sharingan techniques, he also did not know Fugaku's Mangekyo Sharingan techniques. Funan knows all the Mangekyo Sharingan techniques that appeared in the Naruto series, but Fugaku is the only question mark. Is it an illusion or space-time technique, or something else? Funan covered his eyes as he thought, no matter what kind of technique it is, he must bow his head in front of my own techniques. Chapter 43, Mangekyo Showdown. After simply packing a few things, Funan was ready to leave the village. At the entrance of the village, Yashiro stopped him again. "Naro Shikaku wants to see you." "I won't see anyone." Funan refused without even thinking and said, "Just tell him I already left, and we'll talk about it when I get back." "I'm about to leave the village. Why would I want to see you?" "What are you thinking? Do you want everyone in the village to see that the Uchiha clan is connected to you?" "Yes." Yashiro left in an instant. Just as Funan was about to leave the village, another person appeared. Danzo. He was leaning on a cane and looking at Funan with cold eyes. A cold and gloomy atmosphere hung in the air. Funan narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, "Hey, isn't this Danzo? I heard that you have been very unhappy recently." "Arsehole." A rout member who was beside Danzo became furious and exclaimed, "How dare you disrespect Elder Danzo?" "Elder Danzo?" Funan touched his chin and said, "I remember that the Hokage already removed Danzo from all his positions, right?" "This elder, where did he come from? At least, can you hold that title in front of me, the head of the Konoha police force?" "What do you think, young Danzo?" "We're broken bar okay, step back." Danzo's hoarse voice sounded. He looked at Funan and sneered, "You are so courageous that you dare to leave the village at this time." Funan chuckled and said, "My guts are bigger than you imagine. If you plan to do something, you should hurry up, young Danzo. Don't let this opportunity pass you by." The third Hokage would never do it. After saying that, he turned and left. Looking at his back, Danzo's eyes were cold, and his body was trembling slightly. Funan's words hurt his heart. That was something he didn't want to remember in his whole life, until he disappeared. Danzo said in a low voice, "Act as planned." "Yeah." A root member glared at Funan's back and nodded vigorously. As Funan walked forward, he had a strange smile on his lips. "Danzo, don't let me down." Both sides have made their plans clear, and it's just a matter of head-on confrontation. At this moment, a hand suddenly stretched out from the void and slowly reached towards Funan's back. Funan didn't seem to notice and kept moving forward. Hand touched Funan's back. "It's done." The owner of the hand felt happy, and the next moment, a dangerous aura rushed towards his face. Boom! Huge explosion swept across Uchiha Funan. A roar rang out as Obito emerged battered from the explosion, his threat almost spinning in his eye. "Do you need something from me?" A deep voice echoed behind Obito. "Fire release, great fireball technique." The bloody fireball surrounded Obito, but Funan frowned imperceptibly, stepped back quickly with force on his feet. As if he had traveled through the void, Obito stepped out of the flames and looked at Funan coldly. "Did you know I'd be waiting for you here?" "I didn't know." Funan spread his hands and said, "But I know that when I leave the village this time, I am destined not to be at peace. Therefore, I have prepared many gifts for those who will come after me. Thinking of the shadow clone and the detonating talisman just now, Obito's lungs almost exploded with anger. The other party grasped the timing very well. It was exactly the moment when he relaxed. He was almost blown to pieces by the dozens of detonating talismans. This is not like the Sharingan at all, but more like a Mangekyo. Obito's pupil shrank. He quickly calmed down and looked at Funan with his one eye. At this time, Funan was no longer using the 3-Tomo Sharingan. He had changed to the Mangekyo. Obito narrowed his eye and looked at Funan, as he spoke in his gloomy voice. Mangekyo, have you been using the Mangekyo Sharingan this whole time? What's wrong? Isn't it okay? Funan said playfully. You dodged my flames and explosives using a strange technique. Isn't it all thanks to the power of the Mangekyo? HMPH. Obito snorted coldly and stopped talking to avoid leaking his own information. He took out 2 chains and stuck them on his left and right wrists respectively. Uchiha Funan, I will give you a chance to surrender to me. Funan sneered, and Uchiha with only one eye, and you already think you're amazing. Obito rushed towards Funan fiercely. Funan waved his hand, a kunai flew out and continued to approach Obito. Obito's body became hollow, letting the kunai pass through his head. He just stretched out his hand and grabbed Funan. Facing the oncoming Obito, a ball of blood flame spurted out from Funan's mouth and passed through Obito's body again. His hand also passed through Funan's body. The bodies of the 2 people cross each other. The chains behind Obito were wrapped around Funan. Funan just took a look and spat out a flame of blood, causing the chains to melt. Looking at the melted chains, Obito frowned slightly. Blood flames? Is this a bloodline? In addition to the Sharingan, Uchiha has given birth to other Kekkei Genkai. The already powerful clan is really going to become a clan of monsters. Funan laughed triumphantly, hands on his hips. You have envy? Envy? What would I be envious of? Obito sneered and said, Funan, why do you only use fire release? Could it be that you focus on fire release and don't know any other ninjutsu? He narrowed his eyes. This possibility was not non-existent. Funan has been famous for a long time, but no one has seen him use other ninjutsu. Funan sneered disdainfully and said, to deal with you, fire release is more than enough. Also, do you mind that I only use fire release? Do you have what it takes to show me a powerful fire release? Stop always relying on the Mangekyo, who doesn't have something like that. Obito wearing a mask. Funan sighed and said, it's not wrong to say that you are a traitor of the Uchiha clan. The Uchiha are the best at fire release. You don't know how to do it at all. Don't be dissatisfied. Just blow a flame and show it to me. Come on, show it to me. Obito took a deep breath. Funan's expression was really annoying. He had the urge to crush the mask and hit him with a fire release. Let me show you if I can't use fire release. Obito was startled and hurriedly suppressed his impulse. With chakra flowing violently in his body, he stared at Funan and shouted, what did you do to me? Genjutsu? Funan looked confused. What? So that's it. Obito's eyes were no longer the 3-Tomo, but the shape of the Mangekyo. Uchiha Funan, is this your Mangekyo technique? In fact, you can influence me with mental suggestions. If it weren't for the power of Hashirama's cells in his body, perhaps he could have been influenced at this moment. You think so much? Funan smiled slightly and asked curiously, to go through objects? Is that your Mangekyo's technique? And by the way, why do you always wear a mask? Do you have any strange preferences, like throwing fire in your face while using fire release? Fire release, fire release, fire release again. The Mangekyo in Obito's eyes began to rotate rapidly, and finally, in the distorted space, countless shuriken were shot towards Funan. Funan's figure moved back and forth, avoiding all attacks. In the next instant, Obito's body appeared behind Funan, reaching out to catch him. Funan's face changed slightly, a kunai appeared in his hand, and he waved his hand towards Obito's head. Obito's hand reached through Funan's arm, turning deftly to grab Funan's hand. I caught you, I win. Obito hasn't had time to be happy yet. Funan stared at him, the Mangekyo in his eyes starting to spin slightly. Obito's body suddenly stiffened. Bang! Funan hit Obito's abdomen hard with a punch. Ugh! Obito opened his eyes in surprise. I'm not the fourth Hokage. We're both Mangekyo users. Who do you underestimate? Funan's light voice sounded in Obito's ears. He formed a seal with one hand, and a large amount of chakra began to gather. Its fire release again. A broken bar. It's too late to activate the Kamui. Obito looked frightened and angry. He felt the threat of death. Just when Funan was about to launch a fatal blow, trees blocked him. Would release. Funan's expression moved slightly, and he backed away like lightning. Obito gritted his teeth and looked at Funan coldly. You're not surprised by my wood release. Damn, do you know me that well? Even thinking about the battle just now, his heart suddenly sank. Arguably, Funan smiled and said, on the night of the Nine Tails attack, I was a spectator and saw several interesting performances. Oh, I see. Obito's heart sank. No wonder the other party would say that he is not the fourth Hokage. If Funan saw the whole battle between him and the fourth Hokage, the other party should be quite familiar with his abilities. Why? What? Obito said in a deep voice, since you were present at the time, why didn't you save the fourth Hokage, with your strength? If you had taken action at that time, the fourth Hokage might not have died. The way you say it. Funan shook his head and said with a smile, it seems that I am to blame for the death of the fourth Hokage. Don't forget that the third Hokage didn't take action. Danzo didn't intervene either. No one should find me. I am a new Uchiha who was ordered by the Hokage not to leave the clan. If I appear there, what would that mean? Perhaps I will be regarded as your companion and be besieged. Or maybe you could say that I controlled the Nine Tails. At that time, I couldn't even explain what was happening clearly. After all, Konoha's top management is very experienced in this area. A name appeared in Obito's mind. Konoha White Fang, Hatake Tsukumo. That ninja who, because of his companions, abandoned the mission. Funan gave up his companions for the sake of the mission. Both were scorned by the village. No matter what they do, it will always be wrong. From another point of view, those with power can bend the truth. The fourth Hokage only had initial control of the power at that time, and the power was still in the hands of Sarutobi Hiruzen and others. If Hiruzen and the others were determined to kill Funan, would the fourth Hokage have risked stopping them? This is really a big question mark. After all, the fourth Hokage also had his concerns, and his relationship with Funan was not so friendly. On the eve of the victory of the Third Shinobi World War, Funan was knocked off the altar and became the object of everyone's disgust, which is enough to show the ill will of Konoha's senior officials towards him. After the Third Ninja War, I became the object of disgust to everyone in the village. Funan smiled and said, at that time, Namikaze Minato didn't take action. At that time, he was already designated as the fourth Hokage. It's impossible for him to not understand my affairs. Regardless of whether he had the power to decide or not, at least he didn't speak for me. As the heir of the Will of Fire, can he watch me be slandered and attacked? Then why can't I watch him die? Namikaze Minato had no great prejudices against the Uchiha. After taking over as Hokage, he even eased tensions between the Uchiha clan and the village. However, the other party will not pay too much for Uchiha. He just chose to do what a Hokage should do. Funan understood that logic, so there is also no reason to blame him for not intervening and rescuing him. This is all mutual. And the relationship between Funan and Namikaze Minato wasn't that close either. Although the two had collaborated many times during the Third Shinobi World War. If Namikaze Minato had spoken up for him when he was defamed, would he have gotten involved in the night of the Nine Tails attack? It is not known. There is no need to speculate about events that did not happen. Ha ha ha. Obito laughed out loud suddenly. He seemed very happy, as if he had thought of something, and seemed to understand something. Funan looked at him with a smile, but his fingers trembled slightly. He just said so much, mainly because he felt that Obito was actually unhappy. That's outrageous. You killed Namikaze Minato and his wife with your bare hands and now he's resentful? Obito's laughter stopped instantly, and he stared at Funan with a wary look on his face, saying, Uchiha Funan, you are indeed very interesting. Do you want to join me? Okay. Before Obito finished speaking, Funan interrupted him. Chapter 44. Obito's parental predicament. evil god and fanatic fools Obito : and cooperate. What's happening? Funan asks in surprise. Didn't you say you want to cooperate? Obito took a deep breath and said, do you know who I am? What the hell? Besides knowing that the Night of Nine Tails started because of me, what else do you know? You don't know anything, but you actually agreed to cooperate with me? For a strong man like you, you agreed too quickly, which made me panic. Funan looked disdainful and said, whoever I, Uchiha Madara, want to cooperate with, I don't need to know who he is. Of course, I need to know your name. I can't call you the masked man, right? You're pretending to be cool in front of me. You want to dance? What the hell? Obito took a deep breath to calm himself. Don't mention that name. Obito gritted his teeth and said, as for me, you can call me Toby. Originally, he should call himself Madara Uchiha. Toby? Funan muttered again, giving a thumbs up, his teeth shining. Good name. Don't use this posture. What the hell? Are you so hard to please? Funan frowned and said, not this, not that, who do you think you are? I'm Uchiha Madara, how dare you talk to me like that? Believe it or not, I'll let you continue dancing. HMPH, it's just a wood release. Do you think you are Senju Hashirama, huh? Funan suddenly thought of something, touched his chin, looked at Obito and said, don't say it. It's really possible. First the Sharingan and then the wood release. Could it be that you are the union of Senju and Uchiha? Obito's expression was indescribably cold and the Mangekyo was spinning in his eye. It seems that Senju Hashirama is the only one who knows how. Funan looked at Obito in shock and said, could it be that you are the child of Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara? Obito took a deep breath and said coldly, didn't you just say you were Madara Uchiha? My baby. Funan opened his arms and rushed towards Obito with tears streaming down his face. Daddy, I miss you so much. Wood release, cutting technique. Obito roared, and countless thin branches shot towards Funan. Funan was penetrated in an instant. Bang, then a cloud of smoke exploded, and a block of wood appeared. Body replacement technique. Funan appeared not far away, looking at Obito pitifully. My baby, how can you be so cruel, comparable to your damn father. Mom, I'm so stupid, it back then also stabbed me hard from behind in the Valley of the End. Uchiha Funan, do you want to fight to the death? Obito's voice was so cold that it seemed as if the earth was frozen. Funan curled his lips and said, you still want to cooperate? You can't even make jokes. You are not a person who can achieve great things. Swoosh, 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 under Obito's feet, the trees grew steadily. I'm going to kill this bastard. Funan forms a seal with his hands. Shadow clone technique. 4 clouds of smoke rose around them and 4 Funan appeared. Do you want to fight again? Obito looked at Funan coldly and said, Uchiha Funan, don't force me to kill you. Do you think you can kill me at any time? Funan laughed and said, you just use the time and space ninjutsu, right? Intangibility, teleport and then materialize. So, here's the question, have you heard of the fire release, Phoenix Sage fire technique? Obito didn't answer, still staring at Funan coldly. As a member of the Uchiha clan, he is also an expert in fire release. Looks like you've heard about it. Funan smiled slightly and said, it is a sea-level ninjutsu that has average power and does not consume much chakra. However, it has an advantage. It has a wide range. Tell me, what will happen if these 4 shadow clones point in all directions and use the Phoenix Sage fire technique? Obito was silent. Funan chuckled and said, can you use your time and space ninjutsu all the time? Can you stay in the intangible state? Obito's eyes were cold. If it was an ordinary sea-level ninjutsu, he would naturally not pay attention to it, but the opponent was Bloody Flame Funan. That blood-colored flame is famous for its extremely high temperature and can even melt steel. With the blessing of the blood flame, sea-level ninjutsu will be upgraded to B-level, or even higher. Even Obito, who had been transformed by Hashirama cells, would never want to try the taste of blood flames. The other party's meaning is very clear. Your time and space ninjutsu cannot be used all the time. My Phoenix Sage fire technique consumes less, so I can use it all the time. This does not mean that Funan has defeated Obito. Funan simply told him that he understands his abilities and has prepared corresponding measures. Phoenix Sage Fire technique is just one of them. If a fight breaks out, Obito will suffer. At least, Obito didn't know anything about Funan's abilities, except for bloody flames. If you think it works, we can try it. Why bother? Funan showed a bright smile and said, don't you and I want to cooperate? Why do we have to continue to confront each other? Humphrey, that's the best. Obito threw a list to Funan. After Funan took it with his shadow clone, he read it and then released the clone. The clone brought the information to Funan's body. The list of route members? Funan smiled and said, it's amazing. This list is harder to obtain than the Anbu one, right? To me, it's nothing. Obito said calmly, this is my sincerity. Then what sincerity do I need to pay? Obito's body slowly sank into the soil. That is up to you. Funan stared at the place where he disappeared, smiled slightly, turned his head and looked to one side. Do you like my appearance? Swish, Funan disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was holding a pale corpse in his hand. White Zetsu. Although it blends almost perfectly with the surrounding trees, I'm so sorry, Funan, can spot you. Funan's golden finger is a god tree. Although he doesn't have wood release, he has a special sense of trees. Creatures like White Zetsu that merge with trees and hide in trees are like lights in the dark, and a broken bar. Funan looked at the White Zetsu in his hand, activated his golden finger, and slowly absorbed it. Suddenly, the god tree began to change. Crack, 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 with a violent trembling. The god tree in Funan's body seemed to suddenly grow taller. A cloud of blood mist exploded on the top of the tree, and a new fruit appeared between the two fruits of eye techniques and fire release. As I expected, a smile appeared on Funan's lips. White Zetsu's effect on the god tree is surprisingly good. The fruit that originally had to absorb the life energy of several Jonin before it could take shape was completed in just one White Zetsu. Thinking about the 100,000 White Zetsu, Funan felt that the day was not far away when he would step on Uchiha Madara and punch Sanju Hashirama. As for the configuration of this fruit, Funan had already planned it. Sage mode. Before, he had considered the shadow clone technique. By raising the level of the cloning technique to the maximum, he could create clones to fight or train in his place. For example, Naruto in the Naruto series had a large number of shadow clones during his training, which was simply a bug. Or even Uchiha Madara, during the Fourth Shinobi World War, by splitting and using the Suzu on his clones, then beating the 5 shadows until they doubted their lives. However, his current clones seemed to not be weak in combat, and as his strength continued to increase, no doubt, the strength of his clones would also increase. Using a fruit is a waste. Once configured, the fruit could not be changed. As for the amount of chakra, with the god tree, his constitution had also been modified, and although it could not be compared to the Uzumaki clan, it would certainly not be inferior to the Sanju clan. He also considered the sealing technique. With the appearance of so many strongmen in the later period who were revived through the impure world reincarnation, he could not do without the sealing technique. However, every time he saw Uchiha Itachi, he thought of the sword of Totsuka. As for the sealing technique, the sword of Totsuka's effectiveness was not bad. That was the sword of Kusanagi that he needed to obtain at all costs. Although he didn't know how Uchiha Itachi obtained it, simply following the same path should be enough. If you can't get it, then think of other ways. He also considered the Rinnegan, but at that moment, he realized that the god tree was not omnipotent. He can possess the fruit of the eye techniques because he himself has the Sharingan. The same goes for fire release. What he did not possess, he could not obtain with the fruit. The fruit's abilities only served to improve, stabilize or perfect what it already had. Now, his options were limited. Sage mode is undoubtedly the strongest and the most useful among them. Strength improvement is also the most direct. As for who he learned Sage mode from, Funan smiled slightly. The fruit setting was completed quickly. LV1, Sage mode. The rest is the nutritional products coming to my doorstep. Brother Danzo, don't let me down. Funan looked in the direction indicated by Yashiro's information and headed there. A broken bar, Lord Evil God. We are your devout believers. Now, we will sacrifice for you. In a dark underground place, a group of ragged people were performing strange rituals. They cut their bodies and let the blood flow out. The blood of dozens of people filled the space with the smell of blood. The loss of blood made these people dizzy, and their expressions became more and more fanatical. Some people's wounds have scabbed over and no longer bleed, so they just choose their mouths to tear the wounds brutally open again. As long as they successfully please the evil god they believe in, they can become official members and achieve happiness. Not enough, not enough. A sharp and evil voice sounded. These are not enough to satisfy Lord Evil God. Ha ha ha, you all go to hell. All of you go to hell. Cultists dressed in weird clothes appeared all around. They brandished fierce weapons of different shapes of black and red color, and rushed into the crowd, like a meat grinder, setting off a bloody storm. Blood, screams, mutilated limbs. They became the main melody here. This was hell. The people in ragged clothes are just a group of ordinary people. They are no match for these shinobi. What's more, they didn't intend to resist and allowed these cultists to kill them. Until death, their faces were full of fanaticism. It was as if what greeted them was not death, but the embrace of God. When it was all over, the executioners stood silently to the side. The sound of footsteps came. It was a child, 14 or 15 years old, with a smile on his face. Even in the face of hell, he is still smiling. He inhaled deeply and spoke fanatically. What a delicious food, what a joyful killing. Ha ha ha, Evil God, Lord Evil God. The tone at the end became sharp. Lord Evil God. Those people in strange clothes also called out one after another. This scene made several people standing far away smile with satisfaction. Hidden, you are worthy of being chosen by the Evil God. Yes, he was born entirely for the Evil God. Several people were talking in low voices, their expressions full of enthusiasm. They were very satisfied with the young man's performance. At this moment, an angry roar sounded. Damn, you bunch of bastards. Don't you understand the shameful extravagance of your actions? Boom! Someone appeared out of nowhere, landing heavily on the ground. He looked at the hell-like scene with a grim expression. Uchiha Funan. At this moment, his heart hurts. So many people were killed. They were killed in vain. If he had killed them himself, absorbing the life energy, he didn't dare say that he would have 2 high-level fruits. But the newborn Sage Mode fruit would surely have been improved. It should be known that Funan only learned a little about Sage Mode through an exchange. He is still waiting for the fruit to reach a higher level. After absorbing it, he will completely control Sage Mode and have natural energy. At that time, Suzu had the sword of Totsuka in one hand, the Yata mirror in the other, and tattoos on his body. Who dared to mess with him? So, he traveled quickly and finally arrived at the location of the evil god cult given by Yashiro. Who knows, it was still a step too late, and so many people died in vain. I knew that you bunch of crazy people would surely waste people's lives, but I never thought that you would do it more than I imagined. Chapter 45, Funan's Farm and Profitable Assassinations. Who are you? The people of the evil god cult that shouted loudly. Don't make any noise, let me feel sad for a while. Funan covered his chest and looked at the dead people distressedly. Then, he turned his head and stared at the people of the evil god cult with anger. Damn bastards, how dare you kill another one of my food sources? The people of the evil god cult looked at each other in confusion. The young man came over with a smile, looked Funan up and down, and murmured, did you come here at this time because the great evil god wanted it? Are you a sacrifice for the great evil god? Lord Evil God. A broken Bahadin was about to scream again but was interrupted by a slap. Funan slapped him so hard that Hidden flew and hit the wall. You die. When other members of the evil god cult saw this, they were furious and rushed towards Funan. With a roar of rage, the cultists took out their strange weapons as they rushed towards Funan. The threat Omo rotated in Funan's eyes and chakra instantly flowed throughout his body. Swoosh, before the strange weapons approached, and Funan had already disappeared. When he appeared again, He was already in front of a cultist. He waved the kunai and the cultist with a fanatical expression had his throat cut. But it seemed as if he hadn't been hurt at all. His expression only became more fanatical. Completely ignoring his injuries, he continued to swing his weapon at Funan. Immortality. Funan continues attacking the other people, then releases a cloud of bloody flames from his mouth. Although he suppressed the power of the blood flames, he still roasted several cultists to half-cooked state. The smell of roast meat filled the air. Any ordinary person would have died long ago. But these cultists kept shouting. The Sharingan recorded everything. While fighting, Funan reflected. He couldn't be sure of the reason behind their immortality. But judging from the aerial attack he had just performed, he could assure that not all of these cultists' immortalities were the same. There were some stronger than others. Some received fatal injuries as if they felt nothing. Others were clearly suffering, weakened, but still trying to attack him, albeit with less force. And some even died directly at his hands. This was not perfect immortality. So Broken Bar Funan looked at the young man on the side. This was hidden. He is considered someone who truly possesses an immortal body. At this moment, he was looking at him fanatically, and had a malicious and crazy smile on his face. He was also holding one of those strange weapons as he approached Funan. This guy's immortal body is really powerful, but I don't know how powerful it is now before it reaches its peak. Funan frowned slightly. When he had slapped Hidden, he hadn't held back at all. He had used all his power. He thought he could blow Hidden's head off with one slap, but who knew that after being sent flying, he embedded himself in the wall and slowly slid down. Then he staggered to his feet. Funan appeared in front of Hidden in an instant, gently placing his hand on Hidden's chest. Bang! With a dull sound, Hidden's chest suddenly expanded, and he couldn't help but let out a scream. When he screamed, a lot of internal organs spurted out of his mouth. "I can't believe you're still alive after all your internal organs were destroyed," Funan muttered, then rushed to another cultist and pushed him into the ground. "It hurts me to death. You, the guy who dares to offend Lord Evil God." Hidden's screams started again. Looking at Hidden jumping towards him, Funan was convinced. With this vitality, the cockroaches knelt down and will call him Big Brother when they see him. "Okay, that's it for the experiment on immortality. It's time for me to harvest the fruits. You are not allowed to cause trouble." Funan smiled and looked at the cultists rushing towards him. Funan activated the body flicker technique. He then appeared in front of a cultist and grabbed his head. "Absorb it." The god tree suddenly became abnormal. It seemed very excited, as if they were about to wake up. A huge suction force came over. "Ah!" The cultist suddenly let out a shrill scream. The cultists have never made this type of scream until now. Then, at a speed with the naked eye, the cultist was absorbed by Funan and turned into a dry corpse. Funan could clearly feel that there was really no trace of life in this corpse. But even so, the god tree seemed to be not satisfied yet, as the great suction force was still active. A powerful and pure life energy entered Funan's body. "Well," Funan growled as he used the body flicker technique to dodge the multiple attacks before beginning to check his body. All the life energy was accumulated in the fruit and the size of the sage mode fruit became significantly larger. Funan was really surprised. This effect is simply better than with the Zetsu. White Zetsu's case can be explained because he possesses Hashirama's cells. So what do these cultists depend on? How could they attract the god tree so much? Funan originally doubted that these guys could be absorbed into the god tree since they couldn't be killed. That they cannot die could mean that their lives are tied to someone else. Funan now understands that the god tree may have forcibly plundered the life force. Swoosh! Funan disappeared again and appeared in front of another cultist. He stretched out his hand to grab the opponent and began to absorb it. This time, the Sage Mode fruit directly evolved. LV2, Sage Mode. The effect is even better than the previous cultist. Because the immortal body varies in strength, this last cultist is clearly stronger. In an instant, Funan's gaze towards the cultists changed. "This will be my home-raised pigs. No one can take them from me, or I will kill them." At the same time, Funan's thoughts changed. These cultists cannot be killed. The better the effect of the immortal body, the greater the effect on the fruit after absorption. Pigs must be fattened before being slaughtered. For Lord Evil God, kill him. Cultists are not afraid of death at all. Even if they see Funan suck their companions into dry corpses, they would still rush over while screaming feverishly. The three Tomo rotate in Funan's eyes, forming a triangular symbol. Mangekyo Sharingan, Suzu. A giant blood-red skeleton appeared and then muscles began to appear on the skeleton. What is this? Even the crazy cultists were stunned when they saw the huge and evil Suzu. Many people's weapons fell to the ground. Faced with such an existence, having or not having weapons was meaningless. Even Hidden was stunned and murmured unconsciously, "Damn it, Lord Evil God." Funan forms a seal with his hands. Huge chakra filled the entire space, so powerful that it was suffocating. Genjutsu, Mangekyo Sharingan. All the cultists present suddenly went blank, freezing in place. Huff, huff. Funan panted slightly, and the corners of his eyes began to slowly bleed. It had been a long time since he had been so strenuous. This time, there are too many targets for the illusion, and the coverage is too wide. Fortunately there are no jonin among the cultists. For the sake of his pigs, he would give his best. Huh? Funan was shocked and looked suspiciously at the cultists trapped in his genjutsu. The effect of illusion is better than imagined. These cultists are not good at resisting illusions. This is really surprising and unexpected, but it saves a lot of trouble. Funan formed another seal as the triangle symbol rotated in his eyes. Crack, crack, crack. All the cultists caught in the genjutsu were sealed. Huff. Funan exhaled heavily. Okay, the last step. Pack it up and take it away. In a quiet bathroom, a tall ninja wearing a suit with red fire clouds and dark green eyes was carrying a body to a secret door. Inside, a completely different panorama was revealed. Busy people were carrying corpses one after another and carrying out various tasks. There were also many people arguing in low voices. Some seemed happy, others frowned with concern, and others emanated pure hostility. This was a black market exchange point. Kakazu-sama is here. When the person in charge saw Kakazu, his eyes lit up and he came over with a smile on his face. The surrounding shinobi also backed down after discovering Kakazu. They knew he was someone ruthless. He is one of the greatest powers of the black market. Kakazu hummed, threw the body in his hand to the person in charge, and said, 5 million ryo, hurry up. Yes, sir. Please wait a moment. The person in charge knew Kakazu's temperament and immediately stepped forward to check on the body. Shortly after, he exclaimed in astonishment, as expected from Kakazu-sama, "This is an S-class missing nin from Kirigakure." For 2 years, no one could find his whereabouts. But Kakazu-sama received the mission and in just 1 month he eliminated him. Kakazu didn't seem to hear the person in charge's praise, and just said indifferently, "Where's the money?" The person in charge ran quickly and respectfully handed a box of money to Kakazu. Kakazu checked it on the spot, and then nodded with satisfaction. "Not bad, the amount is correct." At this moment he showed a hint of emotion for the first time. The air around him seemed to change. The person in charge breathed a long sigh of relief. He looked at Kakazu who was picking up the box and about to turn around and leave. He couldn't help but said, "Kakazu-sama, there is a large assignment waiting for you, specifically requesting your participation." Kakazu stopped and looked at the person in charge expressionlessly. "A big order of 100 million ryo." Swoosh! Instantly, Kakazu appeared in front of the manager, his voice deep and urgent. "Who should I kill?" The amount was too high. Only the cage of the 5 great shinobi villages, or extremely important figures, are worth this price. The mention of a contract of this magnitude at this time clearly indicated that the target was someone who was still unknown, and indeed, it's someone from the Uchiha clan. Kakazu's brows frowned slightly. The most powerful clan in Konoha, and one could even say that it is the most powerful clan in the entire shinobi world. On the black market, there will always be orders related to this clan, from murders to requests for eyes or blood. But few dared to accept them. One of the reasons was the strength of the Uchiha clan and Konoha, the other is that the price-performance ratio is not consistent. Kakazu is not afraid of the Uchiha clan, but he is serious about money. If the payment was not enough, he would not take the job. no matter who the target was. But this wasn't the worst. What really bothered him was that the mention of the Uchiha reminded him of someone he had tried to assassinate before, only to be chased by a clone of the other party. If the other party had not been careless, he would have died at the hands of the other party's clone. That man is a mortal enemy of the Uchiha clan, but he has a good relationship with the strongest Uchiha, and the two are inseparable. Who is it? Kakazu asked. It's Uchiha Funan. Kakazu was confused. Who is he? Is he so strong? I dare not hide it from Kakazu-sama. The person in charge said. He is currently known as the second Shura of the Shinobi world, the vice leader of the Uchiha clan, the commander of the Konoha police force, and the person with the greatest influence within the Uchiha clan. Oh, Kakazu chuckled and said, no wonder it's worth 100 million ryo. Okay, I'll take care of this task. Then you have to hurry up, the person in charge said with a smile. Uchiha Funan is said to have left the village recently due to a mission, so it is unclear when he will return. Oh, that's great. The Uchiha clan. Ha ha ha. Kakazu turned around and left the black market exchange point. I will post some extra chapters in Patreon, you can check it out. Patreon.com/TitoVilla, comment 7 comment. Vote to left. Chapter 46. Chapter 46, Funan and Kakazu's battle begins. Is there anyone there? Funan was walking in the woods and couldn't help shouting. Danzo, that unsatisfactory thing. And that beast of a Hiruzen Sarutobi. I'm too lazy to talk about Mitokado Homura and Utatane Koharu. Besides being disgusting, those two things are useless. The Konoha corrupt quartet, when I, your great enemy, leave the village, you geese don't even make a move. Are you still human? You are worse than pigs and dogs. Funan hummed angrily. 3 years already. No, I should say almost 4 years. I had never left the village. Now I only go out once. Shouldn't they take advantage of the opportunity? Shouldn't there be constant murders coming my way? Happily after he left the village, except for a fight with the unfilial son Obito, everything was fine. That's outrageous. Where are your ubiquitous Sanbu? I trust that you would help me increase the level of my fruit. You who are not grateful, I will kill you sooner or later. Funan frowned and headed towards Kizugakure with a grim expression. Karen's mother was there. Karen is probably about 4 or 5 years old at this point. Will the two women of the Uzumaki clan be able to increase the power of the fruit? No, maybe it would be better to stay with them. Thinking of the abilities of those two women, Funan touched his chin. They could play a key role when the Uchiha clan fights the village. In the future. In the Naruto series, when Sasuke fought Danzo, he was definitely on Kage's level. When he was exhausted, he took a bite out of Karen and immediately recovered some of his combat power. Funan, Shizui, Itachi and Fugaku, the top combat powers of the Uchiha clan, if they took a bite after exhausting their power, even if they only recovered a small part of their power, they could also influence the battle situation. Forget it. I won't think too much. I must secure those women first. Those two special members of the Uzumaki clan must be controlled by the Uchiha clan. Funan shook his head and continued to move forward. Suddenly, a surprised expression appeared on his face. He turned around and ran to the side. There, a green-eyed ninja carrying a black suitcase was slowly walking from a distance. Ah! Funan's eyes widened. Is this guy human? No. This is a moving mountain of gold. He leads to the heaven of wealth. He is a great ninja. He once fought against the first Hokage. He has lived for almost 100 years. He has an unswerving pursuit. He became famous in the dark world. In the Naruto series, thanks to him, Akatsuki's financial pressure was resolved. Because of him, the son of the third Hokage became the unit of measurement of money. Thanks to him, the little boss behind the scenes of the Shinobi world, he was almost eliminated by 600 billion detonating talismans, and his soul almost exploded. He is Kakuto. This time, Funan had gone out in hopes of finding this person in his dreams. With him, all problems are no longer problems. Funan immediately took out a scroll. Kakazu immediately became alert, entering combat mode. He hadn't even thought that Funan would discover him so soon, much less that he would come straight at him. His original plan was to track Funan first, look for the right opportunity to launch a sneak attack, and resolve the battle instantly. Kakazu greatly respected someone worth 100 million. I should give it my all. Who knows, the other party seemed to know him and found him first. Moreover, what was that look in his eyes? What does he want to do? While Kakazu was alert, Funan opened the scroll and released the sealed person. Kakazu, what the hell is going on? A human? How can a human being be sealed in a scroll? Is he really human? Funan slapped the stunned Hidden, pointed at Kakazu, and said loudly, "That's your long-lost brother. Big brother. Aren't you excited?" Kakazu looked coldly at Funan, not understanding what was happening. Hidden looked confused. What the hell is going on? Eldest brother? I have an older brother I don't even know. And also, how is he like me? Don't try to cheat me. With the help of Funan, the zombie combo met 5 or 6 years in advance, and Funan decided to let the lovers unite as soon as possible. Uchiha Funan. Kakazu stared at Funan with his dark green eyes and said calmly, "Your head is worth 100 million yo." Done deal. When Funan heard this, he took off his head on the spot and handed it to Kakazu. Pay the money with one hand and deliver the goods with the other hand, Funan said as he advanced towards Kakazu. Kakazu's pupils shrank sharply, and his figure suddenly retreated. At the same time, the chakra in his body began to become chaotic. However, Funan held his head and followed him like a shadow, always approaching him unhurriedly. A inverted question mark genjutsu. Since when? Dispel. With a loud shout, the scene in Kakazu's eyes began to change. Countless Funan disappeared, and another Funan appeared in front of him, holding a kunai in his hand and preparing to stab him. Earth release. Earth spear. Kakazu's arm turned black, and he punched Funan's kunai. Clang, bang, the sound of metal clashing echoed in the air. The kunai broke with a blow of the fist. Funan was also punched away by Kakazu. With a muffled sound, blood sprayed in the air. Kakazu sneered and said, "Uchiha Funan, the uncrowned king of the Uchiha clan, do you only have this little strength?" To be honest, Funan's genjutsu skills are pretty good, but unfortunately, what affected Kakazu the least is genjutsu. BFFT. As soon as he finished speaking, a hand pierced Kakazu's chest. He turned his head in horror and looked at Funan, who was standing behind him. How genjutsu? Impossible. I had already dispelled it, Funan said with a smile. You only thought you had dispelled my genjutsu, but in reality, you were still trapped in it. Kakazu's expression became more and more frightened. Those eyes. Mangekyo Sharingan. As the oldest monster in the shinobi world, he naturally knows the forbidden power of the Uchiha clan, the Mangekyo Sharingan. He has also seen Uchiha Madara's suffocating power. At this moment, Kakazu understood. No wonder it's worth 100 million yo. This is the second generation of the Shura shinobi. What a mistake. It should be worth at least 200 million. PFFT. Funan took back his hand. In his hand, there was a beating heart. The power of the God Tree is activated. The heart was devoured, and a large amount of life energy poured into Funan's body. He closed his eyes in satisfaction. It is richer than the life energy of an ordinary jonin. Kakazu possesses the earth grudge fear, so he has several hearts that are stored in various masks: fire mask, lightning mask, water mask and wind mask. Moreover, this is probably a common problem of strong people. They look down upon the hearts of ordinary people. Like Orochimaru's reincarnation, ordinary people cannot enter his eyes. Kakazu is also very strict in the selection of hearts. The owner of the heart must be at least a jonin, and most of them have reached the level of elite jonin. After absorbing a heart, Funan lowered his head and silently looked at Kakazu, who was pretending to be dead. Hey, what are you looking at? Hidden was still sealed and couldn't move. He couldn't help shouting when he saw Funan still staring at the enemy after killing him. Funan ignored him and continued to stare at Kakazu. Kakazu is still pretending to be dead. Time passes slowly. Funan thought for a moment and asked in a low voice, "What are you thinking now?" "You should know that I found out that you are not dead, and you are still lying on the ground. Aren't you ashamed?" Wind release, pressure damage. Boom. A high-pressure wind ball erupted, forming a whirlwind that swept everything away. Kakazu stood up slowly and stared at Funan, who was dozens of meters away, with a solemn gaze. "Hey, you're not dead?" Hidden shouted. "Hey, that one over there, Why aren't you dead? Kakazu gave him a disgusted look. What he hates the most is people who talk too much. After dealing with Funan, he was definitely going to kill him. Hey, I'm talking to you, why don't you answer? Why aren't you dead? They took out your heart, you know? Could it be that you are also immortal? Then save me quickly. We are the same class. Even if we are not the same class, you should save me. If you save me, I will help you kill this guy. Did you hear what I said? Damn it, Lord Evil God will not forgive you. I'm going to kill you later. Kakazu ignored Hidden, stared at Funan coldly, and said, you seem to know me very well? He is over 80 years old. During his long years, he often encountered strong enemies, especially due to his profession and his status as a missing nin. He is destined to be unable to have peace. On some occasions his heart was also destroyed sometimes, and each time he pretended to be dead, and then made a sneak attack. Funan seemed to know his information beforehand from the beginning. He aimed for the heart, and then he was sure that he was not dead. Why is he so familiar with me? Everyone who has seen me take action should be dead. How could my information be leaked? Unless it's Akatsuki. Of course. Funan laughed loudly and said, you once threw a shuriken at my friend from hundreds of meters away, forcing my friend to send a clone to chase you, but you actually ran away, which is really amazing. Kakazu's expression changed. Your friend? Funan laughed loudly. Exactly, he is. Sanju Hashirama. Kakazu's expression changed drastically. He stared at Funan and shouted sternly, you are talking nonsense. How brave. Funan sneered and said, you dare to say that I, Uchiha Madara, am talking nonsense? Sure enough, it seems like you want to dance. Are you Uchiha Madara? Kakazu sneered. Do you really think I haven't seen Uchiha Madara? Is there anything about you that resembles Uchiha Madara at all? The next moment, Funan's words caused the sneer to freeze on his face. Kakazu, we have met before, don't you remember? You. Kakazu was really confused. How do you know my name? It is true that I have met Uchiha Madara before, although at that time he showed no interest in me. Could be. It's not possible. Kakazu quickly calmed down and shouted, although I don't know how you got my information, there is absolutely no way you are Uchiha Madara. Oh, Funan sneered, so sure. If with your power you have lived for more than 80 years, why not me? Do you think I really died at the hands of my brother? Kakazu's cold voice sounded, who knows? Maybe, it's who told you. In his mind, a series of figures appeared. They all had one characteristic in common, they wore a cloak with images of red clouds. However, there was information that not even they knew. Then let's stop talking. Funan waved his hand and shouted, let's talk about our actions. I, Uchiha Madara, will let you dance in front of me. Fire release, Fire Dragon Flame Bullet. The bloody Fire Dragon roared towards Kakazu. Come on. Kakazu gritted his teeth. The man in front of him, although he spoke incoherently, knew his information very well. Furthermore, the power of the Mangekyo Sharingan could not be fake. If he doesn't use his full strength, he will really die here. The cloak with red clouds fell away, revealing the sutured body full of fine threads. Then, 4 figures walked out of it, and after landing, 4 masked monsters formed. Water release, Water Bowl. The compressed water cannon met the bloody flames and created a large amount of fog. Now, let's have a good fight. Uchiha's Mangekyo. Kakazu's cold voice sounded,